All right, guys. For those of you on the stream watching, no that scene hasn't changed yet. Let us know if the volume's good, if Dom is good.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, let's just start with that. We'll bring us on, but Dom, why don't you say a couple things, then stream can let us know if you're good.
What's up, Chad? How you guys doing? Did you guys enjoy the World Finals? Was it everything that you hoped for? You guys excited? You guys hyped up? Ready for Facecheck? Let me tell you, I'm fucking stoked.
Hey idiots, what's up? Hey Dom's idiots, hey Locos idiots, how y'all doing?
Yeah. All right. And my non-idiots.
All right, okay. Sounds like it's good.
The
All right,
Giga
cool.
Daniel idiots.
Yeah, Giga Degon. All right. Sweet. All right, we're going to kick this one off. All right, episode 24, World Finals. All right, here we go, boys. 3, 2, and girls. 3, 2. Look, was that you? All right.
No.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Facecheck, the final episode after, I guess, at the end of the World Championships. It's been a long 2019, and we finally have our number one team in the world, number one mid in the world in D&B. It's FPX after defeating G2 and crushing, like, all English speakers' hopes here, except Raz and maybe Emily Rand. Facecheck here to break down all of the action, not only at Worlds, but the off-season movement already, and then a little bit of fun afterwards with the streamers. Degon here, joined by Dom and Loco. Guys, I think our episode might actually be longer than the World Championships this year.
True, actually.
Dom, what happened? What were your thoughts on what happened?
I mean, I think it was just like, it was kind of sad because for me, like, that was just like a very like unlikely scenario where G2 actually plays that bad. Like, it was obvious even to FPX. I mean, even in the finals interview, they asked LWX like what happened. I don't think that FPX played above the level that you'd think, right? Like, you expected them to come in, be strong. They were good at what they did, and they just like closed out. But it felt like G2 is so far off, and like just normal G2 plays, like just the way that they played macro, they were never able to really get an advantage out of it. A lot of individual misplays, just felt like it wasn't their day. So I think it kind of sucks for us as like league fans, because that could have been an insane final. Like, if FPX won, but it was like a 5-game series and G2 like was playing their best too, and it just turns out that like FPX's style was better than G2's style, or they just executed better, that would have been like a really nice way, I feel like, for the year to end. But the fact that G2 just had such a big underperformance, they made so many just like uncharacteristic mistakes in the series. It kind of made a sour finals for me, because I wanted to see like a really like close, good World Championship.
I did think they underperformed a bit, but there were a lot of underlying issues that I think a lot of people just kind of glazed over in their SKT series, since they won like so dominantly in like mid and late game. But yeah, we'll get into the details of that.
Yeah, and of course, the World Championship, always a spectacle, and things started off with the MasterCard Worlds pre-Worlds tournament performance. They had the opening ceremony there, where we finally got to see, was it True Damage in person doing their performance. Less so about the music, more the hologram stuff that was actually pretty cool. They used a parallel convergence to kick things off, and then showed off their like holo technology. ESPN had an article on it, and they were able to put on a pretty cool performance. We won't stick too long on the performance, but the fact that they used a light show and then had recordings of them as like a real recording of them, and they had graphic recordings of their avatar all across the map. I thought that was pretty exciting. Logo, what did you think about the performance?
Well, let's talk about the song. Like, you guys all listened to the song and the animation, right? I think it's called Giants, the one by True Damage.
Yeah.
I thought the song was actually really weird. Like, there are so many different aspects to it, like the rapping part, and then the Korean rapping part, and then the Kiki Palmer's part. Like, it felt like 3 different songs just meshed.
That's the whole point. I mean, they just got like 6 different artists, and they're like, all right, you guys all do different styles of music. How can we like make this into one song? It's like, all right, well, we're just gonna have each of you do like a performance after another. It felt like it was just segmented into, oh, this person raps. Okay, great. This girl does K-pop. Okay, great. Like, everyone just did what they came to do.
Yeah. But usually, like, even when it's like a mashup, like, there should be like a certain flow or a certain togetherness to it, but it just didn't feel like that. It just felt like separate acts, like doing it one by one. There wasn't like parts where they're doing things together even.
Yeah, it did feel pretty clunky from a music perspective and from a performance perspective. And then most of them were lip syncing as well. I mean, that happens like at a live venue because there's so many, there's so much risk, but it was tough.
Wasn't there that Dragon one, the one that won in China, where Chrissy didn't lip sync and then she sang live and then it sounded really bad?
Yeah, it's
that after that they've all been lip syncing. I can never tell if they're lip syncing or not. Like this more.
They're almost always lip syncing. I don't know. Like I've had to do things with like lip syncing before. And well, just like just music because I performed a lot of music.
What?
And we would have.
You did music?
I didn't know this.
That's how I got into college.
I had no idea. Wait, what'd you do?
I was a classical clarinet player and a jazz sax player, so I played woodwinds. But anyways, the point of it, so that's like how I got into college. That was like my whole life before League. Anyways, my point of that comment was I've done things with lip syncing, and almost always there's at least, even if you're singing for real, there's still at least like a track of you like there for reference, because it's so fucking hard to hear on those stages like what's going on, because I mean there's all the, like the noise from the crowd, and then you have like your earpiece, but your earpiece doesn't actually like sound like it's hard to hear if you're like on pitch or not. So there's almost always like ways that they try to keep you like within the parameters where you're not going to just have a fucking horrible performance.
Yeah, usually that backing track is what the audience hears, and then you add to it if you can. If not, you're singing no matter what, but sometimes you're just singing a lot softer where you hear your earpiece going off, as well as the fact that a lot of artists now use autotune, and to get a machine to use autotune live and not die is really hard. And I think that's kind of what happened at our LCS finals. Yeah. So again, just I thought it was a cool performance.
Yeah, I was just sad Jax Anderson wasn't at the finals though. Like I thought they were gonna bring her back round 2. It was just gonna be like, Worlds, are you ready? And then they're just fucking. I just wanted her to just do some tongue action and just make me feel real uncomfortable before the finals, because like that would have put me in the mood, right? You have a Jax Anderson performance, you already feel like something's off, and then you just see FPX 3 OG2. It's like, that's what it was, I feel like it would have been more like indicative of what was to come.
Dude, the people they got to do it is like fucking huge though. Like Becky G, Kiki Palmer, Soyeon. I didn't know any of the other two.
Duckworth. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know who Duckworth is, and I'm pretty like into that stuff. Like, I don't know. I looked at his Twitter, he had like 14K followers.
Yeah, but he's been touring with who's he been touring with? Was he with Chance, I think? Yeah, I think he's been touring with Chance. So again, he's the next thing to follow. I remember there was some art I went to go see like a Sam Smith concert, and then like George Ezra was there or something like that with my girlfriend, and George Ezra then came out with a thing. So like when you're on this circuit with somebody else, it's like you're the next one up usually. But again, I think Loco hit the nail on the head, and you guys hit the nail on the head. It was just like 3 different songs and weird kind of grouping, and then we got to Phoenix afterwards with the Louis Vuitton case that's been sitting there. There's been Louis Vuitton case commercials that the Twitter has been lighting up a classic for such a momentous occasion. All it wasn't even a case. It was kind of like it was a machine. It was a machine holding like the trophy, and it just kind of like slowly opened up. Like I don't know what I thought it was going to be. I thought someone was going to pick it up and like unlock it, but it just kind of it didn't feel like a case.
Yeah, I mean, that's so weird because Louis is known for like really high quality like leather. I wouldn't say high quality, but really high end leather products, and for them to do like an electronic.
Wait, you wouldn't say high quality?
There's better quality. I'll say high end. I think high end is the right term.
Okay, all right. Damn, I didn't know Loco was a brand name snob like that, where he's just like, oh well, like I think that the leather that they use in the Louis Vuitton bags is slightly subpar. It's like, what?
These were grass fed cows.
I thought we could all agree that Louis is like
high end.
Yeah, it's pretty okay, it's not high quality, I guess. Jesus.
But anyways, yeah, it was so weird because they're known for like really like classy leather products, and for them to do an electronical case, it kind of takes away from the branding of LV.
Yeah, that was a little weird. But again, I thought the song was good. I thought they were doing like the Running Man in place.
At least dancing. It wasn't like super cringe, It wasn't. Okay, look, this is how I know, right? You go on live stream fails after the Jax Anderson performance. The number one post is like extremely cringe performance done by like half tongue, like snake person, like just some weird shit, right? And everyone's just there just flaming it like, oh my God, imagine playing League of Legends. Jesus Christ, you must be fucking lonely if you play that game. Like every comment is just shitting on everyone that plays League. And then this one, it was at least like, hey, this inspired me to like play League, but then I played one game and realized that I hate the game and never played again. But at least they tried it, So
No.
this one definitely had a positive impact, I feel like, for most people.
It had a positive impact, but even if this one was absolute garbage, there's way too much drama going within League of Legends scene right now for the number one LSF to be about like Riot's fuck up or like Riot's worst song fuck up.
Definitely.
Some
I will
big
say
things
that.
going down
I
right
love
now.
that shit, though. I love that shit.
Not just the most stuff. There's a lot of
There's a
offline
lot of
stuff
other
going on.
drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, when she sat, one of the artists, who was it, sat inside the Kiana's blade. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, hey, that's cute.
Yeah.
To open it off. And then to your point that you're saying earlier, Dom, you weren't the only one that had feelings about better ceremonies in the past. Good old Reaper, he can't hold his tongue. This finals opening ceremony is insane, but I think our LCS summer finals is unbeatable. Reaper
God, that was
good.
just so disgusting. Like,
Yeah,
I can't believe we actually... Like, somebody made the decision to put her on that stage.
Not
That's
somebody. There was multiple people. It
Yeah,
wasn't
they
like one
sat in a
person.
room and they were like, all right, guys, what can we come up with? Like, nope, we need Jax Anderson doing our opening ceremony. This is the best we're going to get. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Holy shit.
All right.
Dude, one thing that's not mentioned that chat talked about that I loved was the Irelia Blade part. Like, I thought that part was amazing. Holy shit, that part was so fucking good.
Yeah, I thought the Aurelia Blade part was pretty fucking insane. Just like playing with the holograms. Like, I thought that must be so hard to do, actually, to like make it to know from the angle what it's gonna look like when you're just performing. They're essentially just like dancing with nothing and just hoping that they like hit their marks.
Yep.
That's so impressive that they're able to actually make it look like they're using the blades.
Yeah.
In that context.
Yeah, for performance-wise, I wonder what it looked like in the audience, because as a viewer, you're getting that straight-on experience. So I think in the audience, it probably you can't
it
use
probably
the
looks
monitor.
Worse. Yeah, it probably looks way worse.
So that probably
Unless you're in like the
right
perfect
exactly.
spot.
Where
Yeah,
the
you have to be
camera was.
right in front of them. You have to be right in front of it.
Yeah, you have to look at them directly. If you're looking at them from an angle, it's gonna look off.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to hit on about the opening ceremony, once the players came out, I thought this was super cool. And it maybe just worked out just because we had two champions. When the two teams came out, they also carried their championship trophies for the different
And
regions.
MSI one, and then
Yeah, the MSI one, the LPL one. They didn't carry the LEC one because I guess the MSI one carries more weight.
they've just won LEC too many times. It's like what the G2's been in the LEC for what 4 years, 8 splits. They've won 6 of them. Who the fuck cares about an LEC championship anymore?
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, hey, we earned this badge, and wondering what would have happened if it was like somebody else. If it was IG, do they have a replica of the World Championship? If it was another team that was like a second or third seed and hadn't done anything, do they just come out and just get bodied by the trophy on the opposite side?
They probably just don't do anything.
Yeah, they probably don't do anything. But anyway, decent opening ceremony. Nothing cringe. Things went off well. Holograms. Weird song, but it was okay. And Louis Vuitton showing the future of bags. They're going to open themselves. So let's get ourselves into the matches. FPX and G2, the two final teams here. And it was definitely a lot of fun to talk about the banter beforehand. And everybody willing to take their shots here. Perks, no stranger to that. And a little bit of foretelling in his second to last tweet before the game. Ready for the second fastest international best of 5 ever.
Yeah. I mean, even before the game started, like just the way that they were talking about the series going into, like before all this banter, right? When they were just like, you heard them on the mic checks and stuff be like, oh, I knew if we won today, next week is so free win. Like they were just saying things like that over and over again. It felt like they did kind of underestimate FPX, or like they thought that SKT was like the real final boss of everything, even though like that was kind of banter and jokes at a point. It seems like that might have played into their mindset, like going into the series. Like they thought, hey, I mean, if we're able to beat SKT, it's just the year. It's fucking 100% like locked that this is just like the miracle run, you know?
There's a little bit of that I can imagine, but it is World Finals, and
Yeah.
like It is World Finals. Like I can't say I've never made World Finals, but I'd imagine like you still practice like your life's on the line.
Yeah, of course you practice like that, but I mean, I don't care about like the practice or anything. It's just the mentality going into the series is what I'm saying. It's like they might just feel like, and especially just the way it felt. Felt. I mean, obviously Europe got 3-0'd in the last 2 World Championships, but the last World Championship, it didn't feel like it was that. It was like, oh no, like let's see if Fnatic can do it. Probably not, but like maybe.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of how everyone viewed it, but. This was like, you know, you have the LEC video coming out where it's like, we believe in you, G2. Like all of Europe is behind you. Everyone's chiming in. It's like, today we make history and like all this shit. And then like they just get into the matches and they just get brutally shit on. Like, I don't know. It just felt like they probably might have like thought that it felt more destined or it was going to be easier than it was.
Oh, one thing I will say is like when I made like the G2 predictions, like I genuinely believed every single one of my predictions. Like during groups, I genuinely believed that they would be better than Griffin and they would be first versus Damwon. That one was really close. I was really 50-50 about that one. But at the end, I felt like 51 Damwon, 49 G2, and I predicted Damwon. For the SKT G2 one, I 100% predicted SKT. I thought it was going to be a SKT victory. It might have been close, but not as close as like the Damwon one. I thought SKT was significantly better. And then for the FPX G2 one, I mean, we had that conversation on our show where we talked about...
I don't think that you can really predict FPX based off what we saw. Like, I don't like FPX looked so weird in so many different games, right? And like the IG series didn't look like they should have won. It didn't look like the Nautilus mid was going to be that big of an issue. Like the one time, I guess like they played it 3 games, right? They went 1-1 in the first 2, and then the third one was like a massive throw where it felt like they kind of lost the window on the Nautilus mid. So it was hard to really predict like this series to ever go in the favor of FPX if you watched all the games. Like, so I don't see why you would.
Yeah.
FPX played 2 European teams coming up to this point. Like, they played Splyce, they played Fnatic, and I just view Splyce and Fnatic as significantly worse team than G2, and you can't do, like, the translated properties where G2 better than Fnatic, G2 better than Splyce, FPX didn't do amazing versus Fnatic, FPX didn't do amazing versus Splyce, so G2 should be better. It should no way be a 3-0. Like, yeah. But it was like a 3-0. It was a fucking like clean cut. Like this team is significantly better.
Do you think that?
Yeah.
I think if we, so you think if we had that series like 10 times, you think that FPX would win it like?
With the prep that G2 went into, I think it's extremely hard for G2 to win. Like with the current champion pool, like well, let's start talking about it. But G2 does not play Qiyana. They banned Qiyana.
That's the main one.
Red and blue side, and that is like a huge problem that they don't play Qiyana. And also, G2 taking Ryze isn't that dangerous. FPX taking Ryze is extremely dangerous for G2. I don't think G2's best pick into Ryze was Tristana. And the way Doinby plays it, the Tristana isn't a counter. On the other hand, whenever FPX gets Nautilus, it's a huge issue for G2.
I mean, I think they have multiple different like counters into Ryze that they just played, but I think they just chose the wrong one. Like we saw Orianna. They played Orianna into Ryze versus SKT. It looks significantly better. Caps just looks better on mages than he looks on other things. I mean, he's still like able to play assassins and stuff like that. But I've always preferred seeing him on something like Syndra, something like Orianna over like something like his Ryze. I've always preferred that playstyle for him than like when he plays things like the Pyke mid and Tristana and before this, like when he was playing like a Kali, it felt like kind of sketchy, right? It just feels like he's prone to like running it down on an assassin, but when he plays a mage, it feels so consistent. So I just think that they should have picked that instead, like for sure.
So the thing about Ori into Ryze is Ori can beat Ryze in laning or be slightly better and be more effective than Ryze in team fights if Ori can have good setup. But it's never about that with FPX. Like Doinby knows how to play lane matchups where he doesn't have to lane versus the other person and where he can move around first. And especially in the Ryze Ori matchup, Doinby is going to be able to move around first so much, like pre-6 and after 6 whenever he gets his ultimate. I think playing Ori into Doinby Ryze is actually really good for Doinby because it gives him so much freedom to do what he wants.
I mean, I think that's just kind of like how the whole series is like going to have to go. Like if you're going to beat FPX, I feel like you have to concede the fact that Doinby is going to like do things where he sacrifices waves, he sacrifices farm in order to try to like make plays with this team. Like that's just how he normally plays. Even in the series versus Rookie, like when he's playing Nautilus mid, he wasn't ahead in any of the Nautilus mid games in terms of CS. When he played Rumble into Syndra, he was down about 10 CS. Like he's just going to play like that. I think you just have to understand that like hey, we can beat them at their own game. Like this team doesn't split push well, right? Like for the whole tournament, it doesn't feel like FPX has very complicated macro. I think they pick like strong lanes and then they collapse. They're just like a standard. They're the standard Chinese team where it's like every dragon, every baron, we're getting there, we're fighting. Like that's just what they do. And if you play things that are good into that style, I feel like you're always going to be better off than if you try to like 5-head them and be like, oh, we're gonna play the Chistana to counter the Rise, and he's just gonna shit on him in lane. It's like I don't know. That's not what Doinb's like.
It's not his thing.
Bad at.
Yeah,
it's not what Doinb's bad at. Doinb is bad at playing like the consistent, like straight up game of League, where it's like you're stuck in lane, you're CSing versus the other guy, you're hitting your skill shots, they're hitting their skill shots. Like that's Doinb's weakness, and you have to like play for that. I think
draft matters so much, and then just looking at the draft, it is just FPX favored all the way through.
They got adjusted.
Rise FPX favored, Nautilus FPX favored, Kiana FPX favored. Jungle just overall is FPX favored because whenever Tien gets Lee, it doesn't matter what Jankos picks. Jankos was less effective than Tien all the way through.
I don't agree with that. I think that they just they left their jungle to get too late of a pick. I think that you have to like they're picking Lee in the first rotation every time, right?
Yeah.
You are the first pick
first
phase.
3. Yeah.
They're doing it in the first pick phase. You have to answer with the Rek'Sai in that pick phase. And you have to let like your bot lane get a support band or something like that. But every single game, they take Lee, and then it's up to G2. Hey, like, what are we going to do to answer this Lee Sin? And then they were consistently taking a support, or they're taking like a top laner. They're taking something else besides for the jungle. And then every game, it's like, okay, Rek'Sai, Olaf ban. Mm-hmm. And then even after that, they misplay. Like the last draft, they just fucked up their draft. They picked Jarvan there. They should have picked Galio, obviously. Because if you get Galio, then you get the Galio Jarvan. The enemy team can't pick Jarvan because they already have their jungler and they already have their top laner. So you have to pick the Galio there and not the Jarvan. Obviously, they're trying to Jarvan Galio. And Jarvan Galio would have been great that last game into what FPX had. It was just all a mobile shit. And they just weren't able to like execute on any of the drafts. So
if Elise into Lee that bad of a matchup?
No, it's fine. It's good for Elise early actually, but it's just like a 50-50 matchup.
I mean, we never got to see the Rek'Sai into Lee, and I know that's the bigger counter, but I just felt like whatever Jankos was given, like Tien was playing so well. Like the jungle matchup, it was almost always going to be Tien favored from how it looked.
I mean, from like the way I saw the games, I didn't feel like jungle was that like Tien played well mechanically, and he like was able to make plays, but it never felt like he was like making plays that weren't already like pre-set up by his team. It felt like all the games were just like vertical jungle into like dives on the side of the lane where he is with like Doinb doing it as well. You know, it's not like he's having to jungle versus Jankos. Like I don't think jungle actually mattered that much. I think that the early game macro decisions were just bad from G2, and it just allows the enemy team to just dive you over and over again. It's like what happened game 3, it's what happened game 1. Like it's just you play this vertical jungle, and because you're vertical jungling, if you're not able to dive the enemy bot lane or put any pressure on your side of the map, and then your laner is losing priority mid, and then one of your sides is just getting like 4-man or 3-man repeatedly, like you're just gonna fucking lose the game, and enemy jungle is gonna get ahead of because of it.
I'll give points to that where the setup was so good. Like in game 1, right, where the setup was really good, and before going into game 1, one thing I will criticize Jankos for. Jankos has opportunities where he could make plays where there is slight openings, and it seemed like he was so hesitant to take them. The game 1, like their setup is Elise Rise into Gangplank. After the initial map split, I felt like he could have gone back top and killed Gangplank, and it was really crucial that they did, and they never did anything like that. When you're playing Elise, I feel like the bread and butter of that champion is forcing tower dives and forcing ganks early. And there are opportunities that looked risky, but it seemed like he was just so unwilling to take risk averse.
I mean, I think that those drafts are just really hard to pull off. Like they're not picking for the Elise. Like at least in the Camille game that they play versus SKT, they're giving you like setup, right? Where it's like, okay, you have Camille Elise. That's gonna get like you probably a free kill pre-6. Like you're probably gonna be at least below flash. You're gonna get some advantage from having that amount of CC and that amount of like long range setup on somebody. But it felt like their drafts just kind of like pigeonholed them into a weird situation. I feel like they're trying to be too like creative, too smart about the drafts instead of just like playing things like straight up. Like, why do you need to give the Rise to Wonder in game 1? Why can't you just play like Nautilus mid is not unlaneable for Rise? You think if Doinb had Rise, he'd be afraid of a Nautilus mid and be like, no, swap it to Gimgoon, swap the Rise to Gimgoon. Like we can't fucking play this matchup. That matchup is fine. It's like, and as soon as you get like a little bit ahead as the Rise, you'll be able to just fucking like shit on the Nautilus, right? Like it's not even close anymore. And it just felt like there weren't situations where like it felt like they're like, oh no, like we found the special counter. It's Pyke into Nautilus mid because the big weakness of Pyke is that he has a really shit lane phase, and Nautilus has a really shit lane phase too. So we're like trying to get an advantage from like picking something that should be strong and like should have like the biggest window to like get through their disadvantage as a champion. It's like, dude, okay, well we saw the Pyke into Nautilus. Pyke's still fucking like they nerfed that shit super hard. They nerfed it pretty much because of G2. Like Pyke top like was super OP. It was good in a soul lane. They nerfed all the damage. They made it scale better as a support and less with like, you know, soul lane items, etc. Like that pick just isn't good anymore. You don't need to do that. You can literally just give your mid laner Ryze, give your top laner Orin, give your jungler fucking Rek'Sai, and just run it back the same way you did versus SKT.
Dude, yeah, we have to talk about the Pyke pick into Nautilus. That's just straight int. I cannot believe like
garbage.
That was their decision into Nautilus. Like they had a whole week to prep and they didn't pick up Qiyana. And the answer they came up to Nautilus was
I don't think they could pick up Qiyana, to be honest. I think that that's just like that's one thing that we mentioned on the last show was the Qiyana priority is definitely like they're not going to get away because SKT was banning Qiyana, and that's why we when we talked about it last week we're like SKT, why are you banning Qiyana? G2 can't play Qiyana.
It's a waste of ban. Yeah,
exactly. We're saying it was a waste of ban last week. I don't think that you can give. I feel like Qiyana is already figured out. I don't know if like practicing Qiyana, especially in the last week of practice, where it's like you don't have anyone to really practice against.
So that's different for G2. So Papa Smithy and I talked about it on Summoning Insight, but G2 in Europe, and if they need to scrim,
they can scrim against like EU Masters teams and shit,
or whatever team they need to, and they should. And they should do everything within their power to pick up Qiyana. I think it was actually it was such a huge problem that they couldn't play Qiyana.
So my question to you, Dom, is if you had a week, would you be able to pick up a champion?
Some teams are just not good at certain champions. Like certain champions, like it doesn't matter if you give them a week, it is just not their play style, right? And I think G2, they're like a really strong macro team, but they do like kind of like have like int plays in the early game. That's always been their weakness, right? Even versus SKT, they're losing most of the early games. They just aren't that good at like like making the decisions to like fight. Like they just go for a lot of fights and they go for like low risk, like they go for a lot of high risk, high reward plays. And then and if those don't work out, they have to rely on their macro, right? But they're high risk, high reward plays. Like you don't want to bank a series on that. And they tried to play Qiyana. Obviously, they thought they played Qiyana coming into the tournament, and they were just proven time and time again that it just didn't work on stage for them. The way that they're playing wasn't conducive. Their players, I think, lost confidence in their ability to play Qiyana, and I feel like you can still win that series with that ban. You just have to be okay playing into some of the stuff that FPX is good at. Then, like you're gonna have to play into Nautilus mid. But you can beat Nautilus mid, dude. Nautilus mid is not the most OP mid laner in the game, and it's not like, oh shit, we can't give them fucking Nautilus mid, man. That shit is just too OP. Wow. No, that champion has big weaknesses, and players like Caps, you can give him a mage, and if he plays like the same way he played into Faker, you know, like when he was playing Syndra into Qiyana Elise, that's super fucking dangerous. It's the same type of way you have to play when you're against a Nautilus Lee Sin. It's like, okay, they can kill me like massive fucking range. I gotta like know where the fucking jungler is and only push waves when I know it's safe.
The thing is, like if you play that way and you're giving up priority mid and you're playing so far back from mid, like the setup plays that they're doing makes it so it's so unfavorable for your team. If you're already in the position where you're giving up mid prio to Nautilus Lee moving, and they're able to dive top laners at level 3, like holy fuck.
No, you don't have to give prio though, but that's what I'm saying is you don't actually have to give prio to Nautilus mid. You just have to like have your jungler go in, ward, like you play things like Ryze. Like you think that Ryze Rek'Sai can't potentially go into Nautilus Lee Sin?
I think in the 2v2 it's really fucking hard because of Nautilus Aftershock, and if they're able to land, I think if the game is just about who can win like the 2v2 early, like stuff like Nautilus Lee Sin are one of the strongest 2v2s.
Yeah, but like if you look at the context of like it's a melee champion that can't actually walk up to the wave and like press the wave, like it should be if they're playing around each other, it should be that the Ryze and the Rek'Sai get set up on the Nautilus and Lee Sin. Like I don't think the two melee champions can ever, especially with how Ryze pushes. Ryze is like one of the best push champions in the game early, right? Like you can play matchups like this and just like understand, hey, if we do get caught by the like, yeah, I mean if you fucking get like flash ulted and the enemy jungler is not there, and you're playing Ryze into Nautilus and the enemy jungler is there, you're fucking dead. Like that's just what it is. But that's the only thing that Nautilus mid is actually good at. It's not a super OP pick. You have bunches of champions that people can play into. And it's exactly what I said, right? Like if you reversed it and you had FPX playing the fucking you gave FPX Ryze, and then it was like, no, Caps is gonna counter pick you. Like because we gave you Ryze and you took Ryze first pick, we're now playing the Nautilus. And they played Nautilus Lee Sin, do you think that FPX like DoinB would not be able to carry that game? I feel like he would just be doing his same DoinB shit. Like when he played against a bunch of hard lanes, and like he'll just do his normal DoinB, like, hey, I fucking go down 10 CS and then I just win the game by making better decisions.
That's the thing though. Like when you talk about it in the reverse, when you're given the Nautilus, I think DoinB would prefer the Nautilus side over the Ryze side, and I think that's why G2 swapped it away also. Like I think the Nautilus side in the early skirmishes, paired with junglers like Lee, paired with like other bullshit that TM plays, if they open Kiana, is just so fucking strong in the 2v2, and it's like a core part of how FPX plays. And in a sense, I think that if every team could pick up stuff like this, I think they would be doing it. Like playing these melee tanky champions with extremely strong jungle. Like it used to be the relationship between jungle and laners are jungle, you're my servant.
Yeah, but you're not actually tanky unless you're like fighting with Nautilus. Like Nautilus doesn't have range wave clear, doesn't have like a really way, like a good way to like mitigate like damage. It's just the shield, which is like pretty long cooldown early, and it's pretty inefficient mana wise to use. I feel like I don't think so. Nautilus was nerfed. Like this was a pick that DoinB played at the beginning of LPL when Nautilus was super strong, right? Yeah. And then they nerfed it. And after they nerfed it, like I don't think Nautilus mid should be able to get through lane phase as easy as these people are making it. I just think that people are not playing the game solid against Nautilus mid. Like when you have a Nautilus mid, it's weak early levels. You push it in, you go with your jungler, you get deep wards in the enemy jungler's like red side or whatever, and then you have your mid laner play to the side of his vision and just like beat it in a standard way, because you do just scale super hard against a Nautilus mid.
So that's where we differ. I think Nautilus mid isn't that weak early, because yes, you can push it in because it's a melee champion, but whenever you're pushing it in and he's walking up to you, that danger of him hooking you or him flash autoing you when the jungler can be there, it makes it so hard for you to play that up and play to push him, because of the gank setup is so strong. And like the other like the champions we were mentioning into it, like Ryze into Nautilus, Ryze has to be in like medium range to do that, and it gives Nautilus that range to flash auto you. And if jungler's there, then you're dead. And that 2v2 starting with Nautilus getting that auto brood on you and him getting aftershock makes that 2v2 nearly unplayable.
Yeah, it's unplayable if you don't know where the enemy jungler is. But that's what I'm saying is like in pro play, you pretty much know where the enemy jungler is. Like I don't think the junglers were like in places. It never felt like people were ganking the series, right? It's all just team plays. You pretty much have, especially when it's a vertical jungle game, you have an idea of where the enemy jungler is the entire game. So I don't think that should be a surprise. Like, yeah, if you play it bad, that's fine. But it's the same way that like I think we disagree on how safe you can play mid lane. Because last week we had the same discussion where I was like, Syndra can play into Kiana Elise without cleanse, you know, and then you're like, that champion should just be dying 100%. So I feel like when you really play mid safe, it's hard to fucking kill someone a lot of the time.
Let's not circle over the point too much, and then let's move on to another one. But in game one thing I did want to talk about regarding G2 was I thought their read on what FPX would do was so bad, and they allowed the map split so freely. Like when you have Ryze Elise, like we talked about it, like you want to be diving Gangplank and Elise has to do stuff. They let the top split just happen. They sent 3 people bottom at level 1. I was shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they were trying to like, I think they might have like mind gamed themselves. Like they might have been like, hey, we should try to like get this like late invade in to like put pressure on the enemy team, and then the enemy team just traded, and it's like, oh shit, now we're just on the wrong side of the map.
Isn't everything G2 wants to do, like dive top lane early, it's Ryze Elise into Gangplank, and like I'd imagine they play Pyke.
I feel like Ryze Elise into Gangplank is not even that great of a dive compared to what people normally play. Like you can win it, but it's like if the GP plays it well with oranges, and then he goes obviously, then like he gets a really free rune where he can just go double magic resist if he wants, and then it becomes really difficult to actually kill that GP, and then he first items a Hex Drinker, like all that shit. I don't know if that's that great of a dive even. Like,
what's their game plan? What's their game plan?
I think their draft is shit.
Yeah,
like that's
their draft is shit, but that is their game plan. Dive top. Like we have Pyke, like we have Tahm Kench Varus bottom. We're not going boss side. We have Ryze at least top side, and then Pyke should roam top. Like that's their game plan, right? Dive top. No matter how shit it is, that can be the only game plan.
I have no idea if they have like an early game aggressive game plan. I feel like that might be a draft where it's like, okay, we're just gonna play, like we're gonna wait until Pyke is level 6, and then once Pyke is level 6, we're gonna either look for kills on mid into look for kills on bot as well. Just like roaming the Pyke with the Elise, and then like three man diving. I don't know if you can like 2-man dive or like
GP.
do any. Yeah, I don't think you can 2-man dive the GP or like do that much with the Ryze Elise. Yeah, and that's like why I feel like the draft is bad, because you know, like if FPX was playing FPX there, right, and FPX selects Nautilus. FPX number 2 is taking fucking Renekton Rise and shit like that, where it's like they're gonna play Renekton Rise with an aggressive early jungler and then Varus Tahm Kench bot. I feel like those are the drafts where you have to do it this way. Like, yeah, you need some more power. Like, they'd have no power in that lineup, right? Elise is not like a scary power champion, but she can combo off of scary power champions really easy. So you have Pyke, which is like weak mid, like a relatively weak mid. You have Rise top, which is not super scary early. It mainly just scales better than other top laners. Varus Tahm Kench is fucking boring as fuck. Like, doesn't have much agency there as well up until you're 6 and you get Varus ultimate. It's just like you just don't have any power on that team. And the enemy, and like that's the opposite of what this world has been about when these Chinese teams play each other. It's normally like who drafts the more aggressive shit. Like who's drafting like Renekton, and like we saw Korean teams do Talia, Renekton, Elise. Who's gonna like get these, like, and obviously we saw like Rumble, Kiana from FPX. It's just all this like, hey, we have straight up power. We're gonna just like get to fights and outscale you. You need some of that. Like you can be smart and then like be like, okay, we're gonna draft more late game into FPX. We're gonna be like, we're gonna try to give ourselves an opportunity to play to our strengths, but you still need enough power to get through the fucking early game.
Yeah,
and they just didn't have it on those team comps.
Yeah, and I like that point that you made there. Like, who's bringing the power in the jungle? It's not Elise. On the opposite side, FPX go Lee Sin all 3 times. He's the power, right? And so you just let the GP just pressure shove under the tower, and that's why we saw the first blood on the top side of the map. And I think G2 tried to outplay it with the Pyke, try to get a stun on the guy that was taking the turret, but I think that was the play. It was like, hey, look, we're giving up topside Wonder, you're on your own. We're going to see if we can get a lead on the bottom side of the map and accelerate that. And they weren't. You know, I remember being like, this felt like a distinct play that G2 wanted to have happen and have Caps outplay the rotation on the top side of the map by getting that first kill.
I just don't think it's possible for Pyke to ever outroam the Nautilus, because if you want to outroam someone, you need to push the wave first. Pyke has no wave clear anymore. His E doesn't do like damage to creeps anymore, so he can't clear, and you have to go Tiamat. And even before you get Tiamat, you can't clear. Even after Tiamat, you're gonna get outpushed by the Nautilus. The Pyke pick is always slower than the Nautilus, so that pick was just so fucking bad.
Yeah, the Pyke was a terrible pick. And then if you just look at like the way you're splitting the map, it's like number 1, top is always easier to dive than bot lane in terms of just jungle. Like a 3v2 dive is so much harder to pull off, especially with the summoners the bot lane has. Like normally, like they either have heal on a bunch of the champions, they have ignite, so like they can burst you down a lot easier. Like top lane is just a bunch of champions that just get one shot in the combo, and there's nothing you can do. So inherently, it's better to like vertical jungle on the top side. It's why all the Korean teams do it when they draft Talia Renekton. They always invade and they force the vertical jungle and they just put the pressure on because that's so much easier to play off of. And then if you look at the champions on top, you have Sivir and Thresh bot lane versus a fucking Tahm Kench Varus Elise level 3. How do you ever get a dive off in that situation? If Sivir gets spell shot, it's just doomed. Like it's not possible. So I think that's my biggest issue with the draft is like the draft and then the setup is just doomed to fail. Like how is the Rise not going to fucking die 100 times there?
Yep. The draft was bad. They have to win top side because they have Varus, Tahm Kench bottom. They're actually winning bot side, but it's so fucking meaningless. Like Varus beating Sivir doesn't matter. There comes a point where Varus and Sivir are both sitting mid lane and they're both insta clearing, and Sivir has spell shield. Like where G2 wanted to win was top side of the map, and that's where FPX wanted to win also, and FPX was just way better at it. Like I have never seen that kind of dive where it's level 3 Nautilus like TPing top side to save a creep to make sure the wave stays up. And they're just forcing the dive from the GPN to the Rise end.
Yeah, and then the flash auto attack under turret to proc the aftershock. I mean,
yeah, they just do that play so cleanly. It's crazy.
I mean, I don't really like that play. Like, actually, didn't impress me that much. I felt like they just noticed it. It was just super obvious that they were going to do it in the game. Like when you see the vertical jungle, you're already looking at top, and then it's like you're already looking at top because that's where you're jungling. It's a fucking Rise, which is like the easiest fucking top. Like imagine if you had Renekton Elise into a Rise just in standard gameplay. You have Renekton Elise into a Rise, it's 100% dead. Talia fucking Renekton into Rise. Like that's just a champion where you look at it, you're like, that's a fucking free kill. It's like when you get a Sona support in your game, it's like, okay, that is just a free fucking kill. So not only do you have that, but then it's also like, oh, this guy drafted Pyke, so you're in the mentality of I want to do stuff early game because the Pyke has no pressure until it has Tiamat in 6. So it just seems like that's like very obvious in the game for players of this level. I think that most teams would be able to pull that off in this situation.
I mean, I think I don't think it's mechanically impressive. I think the fact that they're doing it at level 3, it's not a dive we see a lot. I guess maybe it's a dive we can see a lot if you saw more Nautilus mid, but what was impressive for me is it's done at World Finals, it's done at the highest level, and it's not a play that's just very common.
This game, though, it did stay longer. It was more competitive than some of the other games that we saw. Rise did get to a point where he was doing the most damage in team fights. I remember in this game, number 1, there was a Drake call down on the bottom side of the map where G2 finally got split up. It was a 3-2 split, and FPX just wiped everyone. And that's when they really took control of that game. And it was
that was insane. Dude, I don't think people know what like good plays are like anymore, right? Because like Tien kicked somebody who was TPing. And that was like making Red as like amazing kick by Tien. It's like, dude,
the game's favorite kick.
No, the game saver kick I actually thought was good.
The one in the base.
The one in the base was good, right? Like that's the one that should have the hype. I feel like kicking somebody when they're TP'd, it's like, bro, who can't kick somebody who's standing still TP'd? Like what the fuck? Like, come on, man. These are such good players. Like, I don't know. It just feels like because it's World Finals, people try to over dramatize like what is actually happening in the games.
What do you think about... Or go ahead, Daniel.
I wanted to talk about Tien just a bit. The fact that he got Lee Sin 3 times in a row, and I know that we're only on game 1, but the fact that Lee Sin was so comfortable and prevalent, and it made a difference throughout the series. Like Tien was the MVP, he had all those stats, but the fact that it was Lee Sin, G2 didn't really target it. They didn't really go after Lee Sin. It just was so surprising to me that after all the different jungle diversity we've seen, it was the Lee Sin that made a major impact in the game for them.
And G2 doesn't have enough bans to... For some reason, they banned Renekton in game 2. I think they could have banned Lee, but they don't have enough bans to really target the Lee. They're banning Nautilus, Kiana.
No.
I do think Nautilus is a bigger problem than Lee. They had to not ban Renekton to ban Lee. I think that was like the only game where they could have fixed it. The other games, when they're on red side twice...
They don't need to... Why do they need to ban Lee? Why do they care about Lee all of a sudden?
And Daniel's talking about why they can't.
But I'm saying like you just what you do into the Lee Sin is you just pick your jungler before the second phase of bans. It's like they pick Lee, you pick the counter to Lee before the second phase of bans, and you let them ban out whatever. Like you let them ban out the Tahm Kench from the Varus Tahm Kench, and then you just pick Thresh instead, or you just pick Morgana instead, and you like do the same type of like conceptual draft. Like I don't think that you get a chance to really ban a jungler.
Yeah, I didn't mean ban. I meant more of like neutralize the fact that he was going to the same well over and over and over again.
What were they taking first rotation? The G2's taking like bot lane plus a solo. Yeah, bot lane plus solo every game.
Well, I mean, it's good that I think one advantage that FPX had is they had a pick into Varus Tahm Kench. I thought that was like kind of G2's like trump card. It's like, oh, well, if you ban like Xayah and Kai'Sa out, then whoever gets Varus Tahm Kench then just gets the best bot lane, right? Or or like in their second draft, they're like, oh, we get Yasuo Gragas into, a mobile AD carry, etc. I don't know. I think that they got thrown for a loop and they're like, wait, the Sivir is actually just good into Varus. Like they forgot about other picks that weren't being played yet in the tournament. Like no one's been playing Sivir this entire tournament.
Played twice. Twice this, including that game. 1 win, 1 loss, and the win.
What was the other game? The other game was super unimportant.
I couldn't find it. Yeah.
Whatever. Sivir hasn't been played at all this tournament, essentially, right? So no one's playing Sivir, and then it's like, oh wait, Sivir has just always been good into Varus. You just fucking spell shield in lane, and Varus's abilities are too long cooldown. Like it just doesn't win trades if it's missing certain abilities.
It seems like they feel limited on AD picks, and they feel like they need to take bot lane plus a solo laner, or they're going to get pinched out too hard, because that's what they did every single game. First game, they're taking Ryze, Varus, Tahm Kench. Second game, Gragas, Yasuo, Akali. Third game, Ryze, Nautilus, Ezreal. Yeah. They're taking full set of bot lane plus solo lane every single game, and that was the draft plan they had. And
exactly. And that's what I'm saying is you draft, like you should drop one of those bot lane picks and pick jungle there, so your jungle gets a decent matchup.
I would have liked to seen at least one of the games to see how much it would have neutralized the Lee Sin, but I don't think it could have neutralized the Lee, just because the way FPX plays is to set up Tien. Like most mid laners don't play to set up jungle, but that's what's doing B's amazing at. He's playing to set up jungle every single game. Support and jungle difference was huge this game.
I thought support difference was big. I thought jungle difference was like I think support and mid difference was the biggest this series. I thought that Doinb played significantly better than Caps and was able to just allow TN to just do things that he normally wouldn't be able to have done otherwise. Like, it felt like every game Doinb was just a better player than Caps, which is kind of weird because Caps has been so consistent this whole tournament, right? That was one of the things that you thought they shored up, but he was craps, I'd say, in like game 1 and game 2 for sure.
I feel like he's just not in opportunities where he could do stuff. Like game 1, if you pick Pyke, if it was Caps asking for Pyke, then he's fucked and it's his problem. But Pyke into Nautilus, like, he can't do anything.
He was the one that played the dragon fight the worst in game 2, which lost them all. Like he literally had Galio taunted him, right? He didn't flash, didn't jump, didn't ult, didn't ignite, didn't use anything, and just died. He literally did nothing in the fight and died. Like, you just can't do that with your mid laner in an early dragon fight, you know?
For game 2, I will definitely admit on those mistakes, like Caps played terribly, but it was so reminiscent of Team Liquid. Start an early dragon, it was Inferno this time instead of Ocean Drake, and you're selling your soul for it. You can barely get the dragon, but even if you get the dragon, the setup you're in is like, Jankos can't fight. He doesn't even have smite. Like, they barely were able to finish the dragon, and he's at like 200 HP, and it's first 10 minutes into the game, every member counts. Like, I just thought that decision making in that scenario where they're trying to get that dragon that early in the game, they're already fucked. Sure, Caps played that situation terribly, but they're already fucked in that call.
I think that if Caps plays it better, that doesn't have to be 1 for 3. Like, it was a 1 for 3, and people survived with like not super high amounts of HP, and that's with Caps like having his flashes ignite. Like, if he flashes one of those skills, Galio just whiffs the taunt, right? And then they just ignite and just like one shot him. I think that fight can go 2 for 3, it can go 2 for 2. Like, I feel like the fight is so much closer, and then it's like the fact that you get Infernal already puts it decently in your favor. So if you take like a well fought sort of like even fight or like slightly negative fight, I think it's fine. But it's just they played it so bad.
Well, I think this goes back to Loco's point. Loco, like in the match against SKT, we saw G2 just be prudent. If it's like, hey, look, this isn't ours, we're okay, we're willing to back off it. Or if this isn't like we're baiting something across the map, and that felt forced.
Yeah,
that felt like
that fight was fucked to begin with because of Jankos being so low, and you're doing dragon at a such early point in the game where it's not free. Like, G2 is so good about avoiding those fights, but that fight itself, we can talk about if Caps does it little things better, then it's much better for G2. But even then, like, if that fight is played 10 times over, it's still massively FPX favored. You're starting dragon that early in the game with your jungler so chunked out. I just don't see that ever being a consistently winning situation for G2.
I don't know about consistently winning, but I can see it being a winning situation. Like, so the reason why they're forcing it is, right, like, Lee Sin is dog shit until 6, right? Terrible champion until 6. Then you have Yasuo Gragas, which wins in those all-in fights near dragon. First, I think it was Kaisa.
Yeah, it's pre-6.
Yeah, pre-6. So I think pre-6, like Yasuo and Gragas should win like all-in types of fights, especially when you take Halo Blades, Yasuo, like all that type of stuff. I feel like that situation, and then Tristana is stronger than Ryze at that point too. Like, that's like the reason why they did that is because their jungler is stronger early, their mid should be stronger at that point, and their bot should all be stronger at that point. And obviously, you're gonna get chunked.
Before though, Jankos is at 200 HP. He can't participate in the fight. Like, that early in the game, not having someone be able to participate, I think is huge.
I mean, I think that he can participate. He just has to participate in the way he did. Like, he gets the dragon right, and then he repels, kills one person, and dies. Like, trades his life for fucking TN and just dies. Like, I think that that's okay. You know, like, you just give up your life and you just are annoying. You like stall time, and the power that you have in that fight is coming from, like, if you play it better, right? Caps, Gragas, and Yasuo just one shot the Kaisa, like at the beginning of the fight. There's no way that the Ryze, Galio, and Lee Sin are able to like clean that up. Like, they just don't have the damage at that point. It's just like it was just played so like split where two people are all inning on one side of the fight. Caps is dying for free, and Jankos is just like stuck in the pit trying to repel. I mean, Jankos had flash too, so there was like outplay potential there. I just think that the way that they played it was uncharacteristically bad, mainly from Caps.
I just don't think that's ever been like a strength of G2. Like, these early game fights, even versus SKT, like, they're still falling behind early. Like, G2 has been smart about mid and late game decision making and how they play the map and playing the map in a wide way. It was just so weird that they would stake the game on an early game skirmish, something that FPX is so known for and so good at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you just view it like that in the game. That regardless of like what the history of FPX is, just you view it by champion, and I'm sure that in the game, the calls were like, "Hey, I'm stronger than this guy right now, mid. I'm sorry. Okay, we're stronger bot. All right, I'm stronger than this guy jungle. Okay, we've got mid bot prio and we're like stronger in all of our champion positions. Let's just do dragon. I don't think that they like are thinking about, well, watch out, guys. It's like FPX. Like, you know, they're good at this type of shit. Like, I don't even think that crosses your mind in the situation. They're just playing it just purely like, we're supposed to be stronger mid. We're supposed to be stronger bot. We're supposed to be stronger jungle. Let's use this to force an advantage on bot side.
But overall, through the series, one thing that was like so striking to me was G2 got away with having a shitty early game, and versus SKT didn't know what to do mid and late game, and they couldn't accelerate the game properly. So G2 would play the map in a wide manner. SKT would feel lost. They feel like they need to go send people to deal with whatever hell G2 is doing in side lane. FPX never felt like that. FPX, once they got a lead, they just ignored whatever G2 was doing in side lane, and they forced their own fights, or they started Baron at like 20 minutes into the game. They're just so willing to make their own play and pull triggers instead of trying to deal with whatever G2 wants to do in terms of like playing the map.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that G2 kind of played the game one like a G2 way.
Yeah.
Like, even though they were behind, it kind of reminded me of the game one versus SKT, where they were like behind in kills the whole time, but they were making better macro plays. Like, eventually, like they almost won the game in the top lane play, right? Where they took the top inhibitor turret, and then they got a free pick on Doinb because Doinb engaged too early. And then Tien got a really good kick. I thought that was like an insane play by Tien. He gets a really good kick on Varus through the Elise, and they just end up turning the fight right there. Like, that was a potentially like
if G2 doesn't get that kill, G2 wins.
Yeah, so G2 can win the game in the same way that they won versus SKT. It never felt like they were actually beating SKT in game one up until they just won that like one fight. I felt like that was the one fight where they could have just completely won the game right there. So it felt like they were just like playing their game in game one, and it was like, okay, G2 played the kind of the way we expect from G2, but they had like kind of a bad mid pick. Let's see if they do something different. But game two, it actually felt like just tilt. Like, it felt like they were just making uncharacteristically bad decisions. Like, remember like the play top lane around Rift Herald where you have Perks, like, there's 3 waves on his fucking turret, and he just dashes through all the creeps, leaves the wave, and just like goes for this like play with Galio ult up on the rise. They like Tristana ult into Yasuo ult, and then he gets the rise gets Galio ulted, takes 0 fucking damage from it, and the whole team gets wiped. They lose like 3 waves top. It's like, what the fuck? That's not a G2 play. You know, G2 normally is better decision making, but like makes some errors in terms of just like early game like positioning and things like that. That play was just like, okay, now you're not just slight losing, you hard lose the rest.
That was
of
like a complete wrong decision rather than just like not fully thinking
that
about
decision
it.
was horrible. And that's like game 2 is when I started feeling like, damn, maybe they are like getting like emotional. Like, they're letting like the hype of their like, oh, and they're in world finals and they're down like 0-1 already, and this game is not looking good. Like, it felt like the pressure actually got to them, which was one of the things that it felt like G2 would never let happen. It was like kind of like old SKT. You'd never feel like the pressure got to them. It felt like the pressure actually broke them in this game, where they're like, damn, we're fucking losing world finals like 2 games in a row.
FPX just played in a way that teams haven't challenged G2. I think in a sense, because G2 played 2 Korean teams leading up to the finals, like the Korean teams are notoriously bad for snowballing. Like, we didn't see that as like being a big problem. Like, it's okay if G2 has bad early game. They can always come back in mid and late game with decent macro, with good map play. And we saw that twice in a best of 5 versus Dom1 and SKT. And we felt like they could do the same thing versus FPX, but also just, it's G2 playing versus Korean teams, and Korean teams will not challenge you in mid and late game. And they just take the game so slow. And the clash of styles made it so that G2 looks like they're getting blown out.
Right. They're constantly searching for a way back in, which accelerates them losing. And because FPX was taking that, and I like your
that's the
point
thing.
about,
is like the desperation was not something that we've seen from G2 up to this point. Like, they've never been desperate. They've always been the team where it's like calculated, like, etc. If they got if they got blown out, it was like the game versus Griffin where they got blown out, where they're like, hey, we tried to execute our game plan, didn't work out, we fucking lost. This one just looked like it was like, what is this decision, man? Like, you never felt like that watching any of the G2 games up until this point, where you couldn't even fathom why they did something. It's like, oh, this is just a blatant retarded decision, you know?
What do you think of Perks in game 2 after they're losing? And then he's like 0-6, I think, like all chatting 1v1 to Doinb.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, they're just trying to have fun in that game. I don't think that that's inherently bad in a game where you're just like losing so hard, trying to just like take a mental break and reset and just know it's like, okay, game 3 is what matters. I've been okay with G2 doing that. That's just how they've always been, right?
I felt a little off by it because maybe it's me being like extra strict and extra like Asian parent or something. But I was like, it's world finals and Perks, like, you're the leader. Like, all these not younger, but the inexperienced players look up to you. It didn't feel the greatest. Like coming from Perks.
I don't think that's what it is. I think that in his mind, he's like trying to calm his team down, right? Because everyone's feeling like really fucking bad. Everyone's like, oh shit, we're down 0-2. Like we could get 3-0'd. I hope we don't get 3-0'd. It'd be so embarrassing if that happens. Like those are the thoughts that are going through your head. Like, holy shit, this team's a lot better than us. Like, we had our plan. Like they fell through. What are we gonna do the next game? Like, you start getting into that panic state. And I feel like Perks is just trying to like lighten the mood. Be like, okay, we lost 2 games. Like reset. 3rd game, we have to like adapt our strategy, figure out what we want to do. Okay, and we play our best and just give it our all. I feel like that's him just trying to like de-stress his team in a way, regardless of the fact that it's like, I mean, it doesn't look serious.
And I go back to
the optics of it doesn't look great. I think it
matters. I don't think you care about the optics when you're in the game down like 1-0 getting bodied right now. You're like, fuck it, we got to do whatever we can to try and stay loose. And plus, I go back to the Pyke pick in mid lane only because that's Caps, who just recently last year had this same scenario happen to him, and he's put on a champion where you can kind of see, we all have discussed saying he didn't really have agency to do anything, and now he's.
I feel like Caps really underperformed in both series compared to what he had been at. Like, I'm talking this series and then World Finals last year. It feels like he's. It's weird, right? Because you can't call somebody a choker when they've only choked in the biggest moment possible, I guess. But
no. I don't think he's underperformed. I think the finals opponent have been significantly better than the rest of the field, and it's really hard to get a good gauge on the level of the teams until they play, and they just didn't meet the finals opponent until they.
I don't think so. I mean, like when he played against he what do you mean? Like last year he played against IG, right? And like they played in groups, and he looked fine versus rookie in groups. So versus IG,
that IG. Ning was an enter in the group stage, and like that IG did not look like the same IG in finals. I think the finals opponents definitely also leveled up. Like, same thing for FPX. It's actually a very similar story. FPX doesn't look that great in groups. IG doesn't look that great in groups. They get their footing, and then they get their play style online, and all their players where they need to be. And then once they become that complete team, their level of play is so far different from every other team in the tournament.
Really, I feel like they just underperformed. I think both teams underperformed last year and this year in finals. I think they play lower than their level rather than the other team just like playing significantly better. I feel like the pressure got to them both times.
I think that last year the Fnatic was happy to be there. I think this year G2 underperformed. Like and the key, like the string there is Caps. Like I just want to at least just explore that a little bit. I'm not blaming him at all. Again,
I think all these problems were pre-existing. Like G2 can't play Qiyana. G2's early game is bad. They just weren't challenged with these like pre-existing problems.
Yeah, but I mean, FPX had like pre-existing problems too this whole tournament, which is why.
What do you think is their problem? I think they're way more of a complete of a team than G2 is.
I mean, at this point, like, yeah, I mean, obviously they're the team that won, so you like anyone could say that. That doesn't mean anything. But I'd say that FPX, generally speaking, like they don't have the best like macro. FPX has just been able to like get through based off mainly team fighting. Like they just team fight for everything all the time.
Team fighting and early game leads.
Yeah, they just do. So exactly, they haven't had like the best Baron control. They have really bad Baron setups in terms of vision in games that they're not like super far ahead in. So like this, so we saw this in group stage. Like how do you think they lost to fucking like all these dog shit teams like Splice, right?
LWX like into his ass off. Like he was
one of the Splice game. I think it's Splice. I don't think in the Splice game he was fine. I think it was Gimgoon that got shit on by Chachi's Cho'Gath. I feel like that's the reason why.
Okay, yeah, that's a GP1 blown out. But like you said, like Chachi like blew out Gimgoon's Cho'Gath. Like LWX has some terrible games in group stage. Like once they got through the nerves and once they got through like the initial like, okay, our players are back to the levels like they should be. Like they're just way more complete of a team, and like the performance they showed in groups weren't true to who they were. And I think G2 stayed true to who they were throughout the whole tournament. It's just their opponents could never punish them until they got to the FPX stage.
I don't know. It seemed like in the other series, FPX like had definitely like big problems, and then they like had major like because the thing is like versus IG, sure it's a 3-1, but when you look at the game, it was like you saw FPX's weaknesses twice in that series. There's 2 games where it was like blatantly obvious what FPX tried to do their early game shit. They drafted Nautilus in 2 of those games, right? Game 2 and game 4, and in game 2 they just lost. They just were like they did their complete fight, like whatever, like not like heavy on vision setups. We just fight. They just got outclassed and eventually got outscaled because they draft for like early game with like the Nautilus mid, etc. Game 4 was the same way where they drafted into the Kayle. Like they let the enemy team have the scaling champions like Kayle. They weren't clean enough on the execution, and that's why IG got way far ahead. And that's why like everyone was so surprised when IG ended up throwing that game, because they got through
without ult.
Kayle didn't ult in the last 3 team fights, bro. Like what the fuck? Like when you see those types of games, like I don't view that as like, damn, FPX looks so strong coming into the final.
That's IG kind of
it's like IG through. So like I like IG versus FPX. Like it felt sad that we didn't get a game 5. It's what I said last week. I was like, damn, like I wanted to see a game 5 there, because we saw like IG's style look better like twice, and then we saw FPX's style look better twice. And I wanted to see a game 5 where it's like, all right, who's like, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna be able to like take out IG before the Shy like gets one of these picks? Like, because I mean, the way that the series was going, right? They tried to match the early game. IG tried to match the early game. They played Lucian and Quinn, where they were supposed to like win versus the Renekton matchup, win the GP matchup. It didn't work, and the other 2 games were Vlad and Kayle, and that's like when they look good. So it's like, okay, what happens in another game where IG is able to like draft one of these things? Can FPX actually get the lead and snowball the game? So I mean, I think that those problems, like just because FPX won this series super hard doesn't mean that I think that going into the series they shouldn't have been underdogs.
So the thing is that I agree with you. I made the prediction that G2 would win, and I felt like G2 was the better team and G2 was the more complete team before the series. Then I just go back and I think about why did G2 lose? They couldn't play Qiyana, so there were some draft problems that they had.
Identify that, yeah.
Yeah, and then also that they had a weak early game, and they were consistently behind teams like SKT and even teams like Damwon and teams like Griffin. Like their early game wasn't the best in the tournament, and it's their mid game, late game creative problem solving that really carried them through. And then I go back and think about the SKT series, and I go back and think about the Damwon series. I'm like, wait a fucking minute! Like they already had these problems before. It just was never shown because Korean teams couldn't punish them. I think G2, if they played different teams in quarters and semis, we might think differently about them leading up to finals.
Maybe.
Yeah, they had these pre-existing weaknesses that were never pushed on, and they were never tested on like fully in best of 5.
I also like the fact.
I mean,
that
FPX had pre-existing weaknesses too that they weren't like really that they were tested on and failed to test on.
Exactly. Warhorse made the changes when G2's like, okay, our secret pick. You know, we talked about it. The Sivir, right? Sivir coming out and being like, all right, you guys are we ban out the AD carries that we know that you're hyper proficient on, and ban out Syndra so that you're not playing that down on the bottom side of the map. We have an answer for your Tom Kench Varus. It's Sivir, and we're just going to outscale, but then we're going to pressure the opposite side of the map, right? And they weren't able to capitalize on the bottom side, get those kills early. And I think that's a great adaptation by Warhorse and FPX to kind of at least have multiple answers for G2's one thing. It kind of felt it was like one thing that they tried to fix. Along those lines, Grabs, we'll head to the post tweets here. What a nightmare to the G2 army. Sorry, my guys tried their hardest to make the dream possible. FPX was simply the better team today, drafts included. I failed my guys in preparation, so even though it hurts, please celebrate my players like the champions.
Dom, you really think they couldn't have picked up Qiyana in the week? They have like EU teams to scrim, and like if
I don't think that they need to pick up Qiyana. I don't think that that's the best way for them to win. I don't think that them playing Qiyana is that impactful to the series. I think they should have put their time into other things, like coming up with an actual decent.
If what one thing you can fix or one advice you could give them if you can go back in time, what would it be for you?
Don't be afraid to play your game into FPX. Like that would be like the number one thing is like, don't be afraid to play scaling versus these teams. Like have slightly weak early game. Like this team does make mistakes with leads all the time. You see it all the time. Like this team over aggresses on things. Just be calm in the games, play your game, like make the best decisions you can make, and just like get like a normal series. Like try to not get panicked by the way that FPX plays, because going into the series, there's no reason to believe that FPX is going to cleanly beat you, right? This is the cleanest series FPX played. Like people are just like delusional now because you saw FPX stomp G2. So people get like really flustered by just because that's the last thing in your head, right?
Yeah. Recency bias.
Yeah, it's recency bias. The last time we saw them, they were dominant, right? In groups, they did not look dominant. They like their first game lost to J Team. The second game of that series versus Splice. No, it was versus Splice, right? The Splice the first time. They were losing to like Kabi's Vigar up until the end of the game. In quarterfinals, they looked good, but it kind of looked like Fnatic played bad. Fnatic was able to take a game. Broxa had one of the worst series of his life, you know, and there was still opportunities. Like if you remember the game one, Rengar top was completely shitting on the Camille. It was up like 40 CS. Like there was huge, like other teams performed decent into FPX, but FPX still showed weakness throughout the tournament, right? Which is why G2 was the favorite coming in. So just because they stomped the finals doesn't mean that they were just stomping everyone. This was the best they looked. They didn't stomp groups. They had the easiest group. They had the easiest group by far, and they didn't even look good in the easiest group. Then, like, as the tournament went on, they looked better and better, but they still never looked as dominant as the finals. So I think that it's kind of like delusional to paint them out as like, damn, they were just this team that came in and they just won the world championship. This was not like a fucking SKT run like SKT used to do in 2016, where they just dominated. It was more close
to Gen G or the Samsung run, where they struggled early and they had to figure out their style later.
Yeah, they struggled early, and then throughout the tournament they played better and better. But I mean, if you look at the series, this was just like G2 playing at a worse level, it seemed, than the other teams that FPX had faced.
Do you feel like game one was basically what you described? Play your game and find other alternatives.
Yeah, I thought that G2 did play their game in game one, right? Like they lost early. It was like looking okay. They were able to do some macro stuff late. I feel like game one was just like, all right, we played our style. We should probably drop the pike pick. We don't want to be that weak into FPX, right? Like FPX is a better early game team, whatever, we can win late, etc. Like I think your mentality stays the same, but it's like, okay, we just change the pike pick, play with something a little bit more scaling, and then you're able to win. Like even game three, right? For example, in game three, FPX should have lost that game. They were losing in terms of game state. Like even when they were up like 1K gold, Viger was free farming. Like that was not a game where they should just be able to stomp the game without G2 like getting caught and like doing random shit, giving up the free Baron, etc. Like these are mistakes where I don't see how you can say that this is only FPX playing well and this is not also G2 playing bad.
G2 played worse than their normal levels, but my big thing is they had weaknesses that wasn't exposed before that FPX was able to expose a lot. And then for my advice to G2, if I can go back a week and then tell them, is find ways to get priority mid, either through champion picks, either through playstyle switch-ups. Like they have better bot lane, so they can free up Mickey X earlier. And perks are not perks. Caps plays everything in the world, I'd imagine, so they can find better solutions to Nautilus and Pyke, find ways to get priority mid early. I think that would actually solve so much of the problems regarding Wonder getting blown out by dives.
I mean, I think that you play into Nautilus mid the same way that you play into Qiyana mid, where it's like you push it in, but if you step too far up, you just get one shot, right? Like you get flash EQ, flash guarantee CC into one shot, right? Like that's just what both champions do. I just think that they need to be more okay with that being the premise of Nautilus. And I think that the Nautilus pick, like because Qiyana is so played and it's so prevalent in the meta, it's super obvious. Like when people play into that, like
how to play against it.
Yeah.
And what to watch out for.
Yeah. And because Nautilus is like different, I don't think they made like the correlation of like, okay, what is this champion really? You know, like it's like, like some people think it's like tanky mid, or like, is it like a burst assassin? Is it gang setup? Like, they didn't put it in the same.
It's definitely not figured out.
They didn't put it into like the same category of like this is like Qiyana 2.0. So I think the biggest thing was like their draft and their preparation seemed like the biggest like thing that I would say is significantly worse in this series. Like it felt like they didn't have good answers to what FPX did, and then their answers in draft or like their like strategies were like, oh well, we're gonna take away these champions, had answers from FPX. So it just felt like they kept on losing the draft over and over again. Like maybe the only draft I think was okay was game 2.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the only one. I think game 3 had a really big draft mistake. The Jarvan Galio, clearly they wanted to go Jarvan Galio there, right? Like that is 100% the combo that you go. Enemy team had Xayah and
they can't go Jarvan Galio because they picked Nautilus early. They I think it was Ryze Ezreal Nautilus. So
yeah, you just pick Galio. What do you mean? You pick Galio instead of Viger and you put the Galio mid, and then you go Jarvan jungle.
You want them to take Galio mid?
Yes. Doonby played Galio mid. Galio mid's fine, and then Galio is better with Jarvan than Galio is with Lee Sin. I think that they didn't think through the like when they realized it was time for Jarvan Galio, they're like, okay, pick Jarvan, and then they're like, we'll see about the last pick.
So you want them to take Galio. So how the 4 and 5 went was they picked Jarvan, they replied with GP Galio, and then G2 finished with Veigar. You want them to take Galio on 4, Jarvan on 5?
Yeah.
I'm curious what Doinby would take into Galio if you drafted early, and I guess that's one way to force.
I feel so. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Galio is like one of the picks that's actually pretty good into Doinby's champion pool. We saw it in game 4.
He probably play Rumble. Yeah.
I mean, last time he played Nautilus mid into it, but like obviously Nautilus was taken in this scenario. I don't know but essentially, okay, let's say he plays Rumble mid. That is like dream for Galio. That's like what Galio wants to lane against, right? You get your Jarvan Galio there. You're playing, and especially if it's Rumble mid, like Rumble gets fucked by Galio, Jarvan engage. It's like one of these immobile champions, just like Xayah, just like GP. Like all those champions are immobile besides for Lee Sin. You take Galio on 4, enemy team can't take Jarvan. If they take Jarvan, I guess you just fucking default to like whatever jungle you want, because the like Jarvan top would be so weird in that game. You know, like I guess there's a world where the enemy team plays Jarvan top, but Jarvan is not strong right now. So I think you run that risk. It's much more likely that the enemy team takes Galio.
It's like
my problem with if they take Galio Jarvan, maybe they don't take Rumble. Doinby probably knows Galio matchups way better than me, but they'll pick something in combination with the Lee Sin that they already have that will give them consistent mid jungle 2v2. Like that's just been the case for Doinby every single time. You take Galio on 4, we already have the Lee. We're still going to keep the game plank. We'll take a champion X that can beat the Galio in combination with Lee and have mid jungle prio the whole time and dive rides with our Gangplank plus the mid and jungle like we did.
Yeah, but I don't think that you necessarily can set up that dive unless you get the vertical jungle again. Like Jarvan Galio Rise is pretty good at protecting dives, I feel like.
Isn't the Lee matchup into Jarvan good early?
It's whatever early. Like Lee wins in a direct fight with Jarvan. Yes, if they like fight to the death. But I mean, I don't. That's like not what you're playing the matchup for. It's not like he can kill the Jarvan, right? Like if they see each other, the Jarvan EQs out, he's good. That's it.
Okay. The common problem I see in like the jungle always is when you have the winning matchup, it's when the enemy jungler is like on your side and it's hard to check into it. Like if the Lee can get onto the top side and they're like threatening the dive, it's really hard for Jarvan to go into the brushes, like to go get back into the top side.
I mean, I think that LWX actually just gave the perfect comment. I saw it the same way that he did, and everyone thought that he was just trash talking. But I think that that's his honest analysis, and I like agreed with that completely. When he said like in Chinese, or like apparently the translation of what he said was, "I don't think that we overperformed. I feel like they just didn't perform at all." Right? I feel like that sums it up perfectly. I think that we saw FPX playing at the level we wanted. We wanted to see G2 playing at a better level, and then we could actually like have more discussion on what's happening.
My caveat, I'll make my final comment and then people can make theirs and then we can move on. My final comment is G2 did underperform, but there's mistakes or there's weaknesses in G2 that we really didn't get to see blown up before. And also G2's prep versus FPX was really bad. And I think the prep and the weaknesses not shown before makes their underperformance even bigger than like normal.
I kind of want to recap the G2 this year, right? Because as we talked about earlier, the recency bias, G2 just gets blown out. Looks like they're playing stuff that they're not familiar with or getting outdrafted, whatever it is. It's not the greatest last image of them. How do we rate them overall this year? What does it mean for the West? Does it mean anything for NA? Is it just an EU thing? How do we feel like the impact of this 2019?
Means zero from NA.
Absolutely fucking nothing for NA. Like we can group into the West, like because of cultural, like because of where we are, like on terms of the globe, but it means literally nothing for NA. G2 can win Worlds. It doesn't mean that NA has a bigger shot at winning Worlds next year. Like it means absolutely fucking nothing for NA. Like fucking NA talks about like, we'll change this, like we'll import less, like we need to reinvest into our talent, like we'll run more in-houses, like holy fucking shit. Like it means absolutely fucking nothing for NA. Like NA hasn't been really even changing in the off season. Like we're reinvesting into imports, like nothing, like absolutely fucking nothing for NA.
Yep. I don't know. I'd say the only thing I would say is like people should just rewatch the series and then not be super biased by the result. Obviously, if you want G2 to win or you're like rooting for Europe, it feels really bad. And I think it's really easy to be like disillusioned by like the like how brutal the result was. But like take it in, rewatch the games, rewatch the series beforehand, and try to make like good analysis based on what you saw and not based on the fact that inside the games G2 is outplayed.
For me, for the entirety of G2's year, I think it would be, this is still the best year a Western team has ever had. A Western team has not won MSI before. A Western team has not dominated Korea in the same way G2 has before. It is still by far the best performance a Western team has ever put up. And it's going to be the benchmark whenever we compare like new teams coming up. Like if TSM's good next year and they can perform internationally, one of the biggest questions we're going to ask is, are they better than G2 2019? Every Western team is going to be compared to G2 2019 and what they did.
Yep. And I think G2 will have another like run at this. I don't think any of the players like are leaving. Like it just seems like that team is like built for the long haul, right? So I think that people are going to write them off and just like they're going to take this result. But I think G2 is going to be a contender for next year for sure.
Cool. All right.
Like even going. So if DoNB ends up retiring, right? I think G2 should be considered the favorite to win next year if DoNB retires.
Cool. All right. I wanted to spend a little bit of time here on Twitter taking a look at Ran LPL. She does a lot of the interviews for the LPL and translates it to English, and had like a lot of cool things on her Twitter over the right after the game. So this first quote is from Warhorse on the inside of why G2 didn't show as dominant as they were in the semis. In game 1, we both drafted comfortable picks for our team, but G2 didn't get their way. Don't know what that means, but then come game 2 and 3, it seemed like G2 drafted 2 comps they weren't really familiar with, which I don't know if you say that
they're
only
just literally
because,
trying
like,
to say
lost.
a nice way of like G2 played bad. It's literally like, what else could these players say? You know?
Yeah.
Like G2 just fucking played bad, and they're like, oh, it looked like they weren't familiar with their champions. That's their way of saying like, yeah, they're playing like ass. Like maybe they just don't know what the fuck is going on with these champions. Like, I don't know, dude. I honestly just believe exactly what I'm like with the LPL players on this. I side with their mentalities of things.
LWX, what have you learned from this Worlds? Just don't int. That's obviously pretty good because he had 0 deaths in the finals after being labeled, I think, by everybody, us included, as the worst AD carry at the tournament during the group stages. The kha'zix game will go down in history.
I said besides for the Taiwanese ADs. That's what I said. So the Taiwanese ADs were all ass. So yeah.
I only said G2 played bad today to trash talk because I read before the match they wanted to 3-0 us, but really today our level 1 strategies all paid off and the game just went our way.
So you mean you got flamed by people for saying the comment you wanted to back off of it? You said what you meant when they asked you, and then you started getting backlash, and then you just like tried to calm it down. Nice. Great PR, dude.
Yeah. I mean, also it kind of gives that bulletin board material. Like G2's gone to everyone, said, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face and you're going to be garbage. And that's exactly what everyone let happen. This time LWX like used that against them, you know. And I always wondered, like, whenever you're talking traditional sports or anyone that talks smack, do you use that as motivation? And clearly here LWX was like, yeah, actually we didn't like that. Same thing with Tian. Tian said basically the same thing. Splice was the strongest European team because I wanted to trash a little bit, but then backing off saying today G2 is definitely the best EU team. I mean, they get to say whatever they want because they smack.
G2 is the only EU team that did not take a game against FPX.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that says enough, right? Like, I don't know. It's like you saw Splice play versus FPX, right? Those games looked like Splice was close to the same level as FPX when they were playing, right? Like
FPX was much worse. You talked about it. The choke ass fucking killing gameplay.
Do you think teams get that much better in like 3 weeks?
I think especially at Worlds for the Asian team for sure. We saw it with Samsung. We saw it with IG, and now we saw it with FPX. They do not find their footing initially, especially for the teams that don't play in play-ins.
I don't know. I saw similar mistakes throughout the series. I mean, maybe I have to rewatch the games again. But when I was watching the series, I think that it's just like FPX just plays like bloody like Chinese style, right? Where they just like throw a lot of like they'll make bad decisions, right? I don't think that it's just that they didn't make bad decisions this time. I think it was just like, yeah, you saw teams adapt to it so much worse and handle it worse throughout the tournament.
But we literally saw it with like IG last year, and then we saw it with Samsung the year before. Like teams come in. They have a certain read on the meta or a certain way they think they should play, or a certain player really underperforms, and League is a team game. And when one of your pieces doesn't work, or your style that you think works does not work, and you have to readjust, like you can
that's where I disagree, because I think that I think in the previous 2 years, I think this year we probably got like one of the best finals we could. I think that we probably got the best 2 teams playing in the finals. Like maybe you can make some statements that IG could have been better than G2, and that might have been a better fight. I'm not sure. I think that this was probably the best 2 teams in the finals. I think in the previous years, we just got fucked by the format, if I'm being honest. Like, I think that a lot of like the times, like, and even like the year before, like even in 2016, I thought Rocks Tigers versus SKT probably should have been the finals of that, or I don't even know if they were still called Rocks at that point, but yeah, whatever that, you know, the team I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So that, and then last year, like, I think that the KT series versus IG, like KT could have been better than Fnatic that year. It's like, I think that because of the tournament draft, like it obviously will look like that. If one team smashes the finals, it'll obviously look like that. But I think that just in general, like the fact that the format isn't double elimination, you don't necessarily always get the best 2 teams in the finals. So you could just get like a potential like 8th, or like let's say you could get like something like somebody like the 5th best team potentially in finals versus the 1st best team.
Yeah, I mean, double elim, it could happen.
Yep. I think
it's more important that we have play-ins and we can watch the Japanese teams, we can watch the Oceanic teams.
Who cares? Call that the international
than having fucking double elims, right? It's like we don't have the resource. The tournament would last too long, but we have play-ins for some reason. I see how it goes.
Yep.
I mean, we used to have like the wild card back in like season 2, season 3 was its own event, and people would just not watch it.
That's the entire point. Like, you bullshit us and you tell us the tournament would last too long. We don't have the resource. But here, play-ins. Look at this. Look at this. Look at all these small-ass regions fighting against each other. Don't fucking tell us like the tournament would last too long, or you don't have the resource while you're literally fucking putting on play-ins.
I mean, we went through this so many times. It's like fucking the international last 5 days. Like, what do you mean the tournament will take too long? You take fucking like a month and a half to do your shitty tournament anyway. Like, why not just fucking copy a tournament that's better than yours and just do it in a similar format? You can still stretch it off over a month and a half, and you can still get the same amount of games as you want to get, but like just have a better winner.
I don't even care they're not changing the format. Like, they can do whatever.
Are they not changing the format?
Well, I have no idea. I don't
know.
But I don't care if they're not changing the format. Just don't spit in our faces and tell us the tournament would last too long when it's one of the longest tournaments and you're including play-in as a part of the tournament. Like, that's where like it's disingenuous to me. Like, the excuses they give is just not true. And there's just like a core example of like, you have this like mini tournament before the tournament anyways. Just take care of this part. Just get rid of this shit.
Last thing I wanted to show on Rand's thing, and you know, I don't know maybe if you guys thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. It was college dorms in China actually celebrating FPX's victory here. I'll turn the audio on. You can hear them cheering as they finished it up. Just because we had a ton of viewing parties here over here in LA. USC and UCLA had that. Viewing parties all over the world, and you can imagine what it would have been like for G2 if G2 was able to get the victory. In this case, it's interesting to see how the other half of the world that was cheering for LPL and cheering for FPX to get a victory, how they reacted as well. Emily Rand here. This is the article I was referring to earlier. Just a reminder that Doing B announced his retirement this past offseason only to come back for FPX and to get the victory. If you want to see that article, ESPN covered it. Check out Emily Rand's Twitter. I thought that one was pretty cool. And then
Daniel, what do you guys think of the wife buff thing? What do you guys think of? Oh, this person has a wife.
It's such a dumb narrative. There's no point of even talking about it, in my opinion. I hate these types of like forced. Like, obviously, it's like it's supposed to be a joke or whatever, but it's just such like a boring, like shitty joke to me. It's like, oh, I get it. The last 3 people like all had wives. Nice, dude. Like, what am I supposed to say about that? Like,
thing is, like, there are like people putting serious weight to it. Like, Fion talked about like, don't ever talk about like a significant other like taking away from like a gamer. Like, what is it like?
What do you mean? It can and it can't. Like,
it can and it can. And also, the vast majority of gamers, and especially who they are dating,
most often
it takes away more off. Completely.
People like Fion, like they just never lived in team houses. Like, for most people, like for people that are like able to like handle their responsibilities and more mature, and the people that take their career more serious, aka the people that are winning worlds, normally are the types of people that are taking the game super serious. Like, for those people, it's not going to fucking take away. For your average like NA player who's like just got their first fucking girlfriend that they've ever had, and they're like 21 years old and they're on like a 6th place team, like it's going to fucking take away. So like it's so irrelevant to me. It's so irrelevant to me. Like this thing, like, I don't know. You have to see the person. It's not like, well, how do we know that there hasn't been people that should have been world champions that were ruined by their relationships? Like, how do we know if it's like, oh shit, dude, man, like fucking TSM in season 5, they would have won, but you know, it was like Bjergsen had a girlfriend, and it just took him all the way down from the best team in the world to like 16th. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't these narratives like don't make sense. It's like it doesn't naturally benefit you or like hurt you. It just depends on how you treat that situation.
Also, when we're talking about relationships and like it's like the wife buff, like notice how it's always like it's always the Asian teams winning anyway, so it's a little disingenuous to say, but Asian relationships, like where it's like a fully grown Asian person like that grew up in Asia and that has Asian culture, like basically a mainlander Asian dating, like mainlander Asian dating is completely different from LA dating. Yeah. I hated that narrative, and I hated how people were defending like
I hate it too.
Players with girlfriends for it.
Yeah, I hate it too, because it's like, it just doesn't make, like, how are you supposed to know how much a girlfriend hurts compared to like how much a girlfriend helps when a team wins or loses? Like you can win and have your girlfriend still, like, how do you know that FPX couldn't have been even better? Maybe they would have just 3-0'd every series if he had no girlfriend. He just put no time into a relationship and he fully focused. Like, you don't know if that's actually helping him or hurting him just because they won.
Yeah, I think it's a cool thing that have happened, but to attribute like, hey, look, he got over the edge because that is just stupid.
No, his wife definitely helped a lot, but it's a situation that happened.
How do you know? How do you know that? How do you know that? Because he said it, or like what? Like I don't.
They've been openly talking about how much support he had. Like he wanted to retire. Like his wife convinced him. Like you should take one more shot at it. Like his wife definitely helped his run.
Isn't that natural to say that? Like I don't know, DNB. Like won't most people say that?
No,
like
in the moment that you win, you don't have to attribute it to your wife. Like
I see a lot of that. Like that's like a pretty normal thing. Like when Conor McGregor wins, he's like saying like, thank you for like supporting me all these years. Like I don't like I don't know, right? Like
when I went Twitch tribals, I'll shut you out though.
I mean, to me it's just like so like you don't fucking know unless you live with these people, or you're like living in a situation, or you're able to like actually compare day to day what's going on. Like no, I don't fucking know. I'm not saying it couldn't, but I'm just saying that like people just think they know so much about everything when they're not involved in it at all. Like how can we say?
Well, one thing that we do know, thanks to Big Brain Isaac Azael Cummings Bentley, is NA didn't lose a single game in the world's knockout stage.
Oh my god!
True.
This shit is so overdone. Like TFM didn't drop a single game. Fucking Doran telling me Froggen didn't drop a single game at Worlds. Like fuck this joke. Like this joke was funny. This joke was funny the first 100 times I heard it.
Exactly. It was funny before. It's like great, dude. Like
so original.
Yeah, it's like when people
3,000
are like,
likes. He's getting
people are like 9
clout.
years, 1 semi XD, and it's like damn. Like that was funny the first time I heard it, but now it's like it just doesn't matter.
Old Fnatic fan. This is a random fan that I saw. This one was good. The first and only champions of Europe, showing the old Fnatic roster.
Oh, I hate that narrative. I hate that Fnatic one season so one narrative.
Yeah,
it's it devalues every single other winner to put Fnatic up there with all the other winners.
This season 2 was the first real world championship we had. For sure.
Season 1 was Rift Rivals. It was Rift Rivals like international. It just count it with Rift Rivals. I can give Fnatic a Rift Rivals victory, not a Worlds victory.
Just seeing that mane of hair on Xpeke's head, that was just fantastic. All right, if you wanted some sad boy tweets, Ocelot has a video. You can go over there. This is one that I thought was interesting. This actually insane. It all makes sense now. Every year, G2 getting closer and closer to winning the world championships. So he's been trying to remain positive over there in the face of the losses and the interviews. That was it was tough. I think you could see the emotion, and I think you also saw how like Shox handled it well with Ocelot as he was struggling just a bit. Having the interview and shielding his players from having to do the post-game interview on the broadcast.
She did really well in the interview with interview with FPX too, I thought. Because
I had to
because like it's clear she's such an EU fangirl, right? Like she wants EU to win more than anything. So like
oh man, you're gonna love that. Wait, is that the one the Shox crying in the background? Yeah, you're gonna love that one because you talked about it in your Cut the Western shit, how Reckless cries so everyone else can see it, right?
Yeah, and then some people don't, and even like
some people want to cry, and then they put on a happy face. They give you all the sunshine, and they cry when it's private. When they cry backstage, they don't cry like where the crowd can see it.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't want to contribute to their TPM stat. But some like you see it like you're either trying to cry, like you're either giving it. It's like, oh, I feel sad. I'm trying my hardest to cry as much as possible. You can either go that mentality, or you can try to like hold it, right? And you could tell even Ocelot was trying to hold it in the like he's just like shit man fuck like he's like all right, like I'm trying not to cry, you know?
The Ocelot situation, that's how I viewed it. It's like there's two Ocelots. There's Ocelot the
As a player.
personality, there's Ocelot the player, and then there's Ocelot the owner, and then Ocelot the leader, Ocelot the CEO of G2, and then like it's just those two personalities going at each other. Like the Ocelot the player and Ocelot the competitor, it's like fuck this shit, fuck everything. And Ocelot the owner is like, there's so many people like looking up to me, so many people I'm responsible for. I need to make the PR statement. I need to cover for everyone.
What about Perks crying? Like he was crying. He was trying to hold it back though, right? Yeah. Like you can tell that he didn't want to see people cry. Like he was trying.
He's on stage. He's shaking their hand. He's smiling. He's being a graceful loser. He's not making it about himself. He's making it about FPX was the better team and let FPX have their moment.
And there's no way that you're going to tell me that Reckless cares more about this game than Perks. There's no way that you could tell me that they both aren't giving it their all. Right? At worst, you could say that Perks is giving it his all and Reckless is also giving it his all.
Yeah, that's what I don't think
you can possibly say that Perks doesn't put every waking moment. Crying. I think Perks wants it more than almost anyone. Like he's the fucking, like he's always trying to, like he's trying to roll. So I'm trying to do it ever to win worlds. He's one of those people. He's like Bjergsen, right? You have those players that actually have the mentality of I'm going to try my best to win worlds. Like that's their goal every year.
If you care about the game and you have to show it on stage by crying, that's not how you show that you are dedicated. You show it when no one is watching. You show it by the work you're putting in when there is no cameras on you, when you're not streaming, like when you're like, you show it in different ways. You don't show it by crying on stage. That's a byproduct of caring so much, not the primary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
So shifting away from the narrative just a little bit, wanted to get your thoughts on the MVP. So I brought it up a little bit earlier. Tian being voted as MVP, and it was a panel of journalists from around the world, casters around the world that were there at Worlds. And they went with Tian's Lee Sin triple game performance. Agree, disagree, thoughts on the pick?
Not bad. Like World MVP is honestly such a meaningless title. I feel like
because of Ning?
Finals. What?
Because of Ning last season, and then seeing him play this season.
It's just like Worlds. It's rewarded based on narrative and who has like the highest moment, not who contributed most to the team. FPX as a team could find replacements for Tian, but I don't think they'll ever be able to find replacements for Doinby. Like Doinby plays such a crucial role, and if MVP is the most valuable player,
I would say Doinby for sure.
It's Doinby. Like if you remove Doinby and you put an average mid in FPX, they can't be the same team.
Or not even an average mid.
Yeah.
Any other mid. Like he's such a special player, right? Like that is Doinby's team, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that even if you want to give it off performance, I thought Chris played pretty fucking well, man. Like I don't see how a support can ever get finals MVP if you can't give it to Crisp in this type of series, right? So like if you're doing it based off play, I would do that. If you're giving it off importance, I would say Doinby is just that fucking team.
Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Chris got LPL finals, summer finals MVP.
No, I'm talking about like world finals. Yeah. I'm talking about this award.
Wait, Mata got MVP before though.
Yeah, Mata got MVP, but I'm saying in the future, right? The game was different when Mata got MVP. I'm talking about like in this iteration of League of Legends.
Okay. Yeah. But it's a meaningless title because like it separates it into like the finals only, and it doesn't like if there's a player that should be decorating, it should be Crisp in my opinion.
Wasn't finals MVP wasn't it Imp?
No, I think it was Mata, no?
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. But yeah,
and like last year, I thought Rookie or the Shy should have gotten it. I'm pretty sure Ning got it. Like it's a lot of times. I disagree with it.
So essentially, it's just like the supports that were being played at that time. Like it was like Modest Thresh, right? Like that's like a champion you can like show off your skill really heavily on in that iteration of Thresh. Thresh is not like a super OP like lane dominant. Like we're not 2v3 and people out here with Thresh these days. Like you have to play the champion well for like the kit. So.
I understand also the title is Finals MVP, but why a Finals MVP? Why not MVP of entirety of Worlds? Like that's way more fucking important than like a Finals MVP. And also if there's like a player that was like robbed, that there was like a player that like carried the fuck out of his team, but he couldn't make Finals because his team was bad, like this is one way we could celebrate them too. So I just don't like Finals MVP, and I also do think they give it to the wrong person anyway.
Well, I think that it's just like a flashiness thing, right? Like when you're playing Lee Sin all 3 games and you win Worlds on Lee Sin, you're going to look clean mechanically, right? But I don't know. I just think that the amount of stuff that Doinby does within the game, like if you watch his fucking pro view, just watch a game of Doinby's pro view and tell me he's not the one that's like winning the game for his fucking team. That's all I gotta say.
If you're Nemesis or not.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's just ridiculous. Like, he's clearly one of the best mids in the fucking world, right? If not the best mid in the world. I feel like it's hard to not say he's the best mid in the world right now. It's like he's borderline revolutionizing the way that the lane is played.
Yeah.
For sure. And the last thing that I'm having trouble finding it. Whatever. Thanks, Leaguepedia. Last one to cut the blow here just a bit. Friend of the stream, Keen Lamb, brother of High. He does all of the articles of the 10 things before.
10 thoughts going into World Finals.
10 thoughts going into the yeah. He if you read those articles on LoL Esports, great writer.
I hate those fucking articles. I hate those fucking articles. Come on. Jesus Christ.
He's trying to ease the blow for the West, and Warhorse suddenly remembers that SKT versus G2 was the real final and none of this matters, and you could just see Warhorse's face. It's just, he's holding the Summoner's Cup, and it's just stone faced like he doesn't care what the heck's going on. Interesting story about Warhorse as well. At the beginning of the year, he got in a terrible accident, almost died. Had a neck brace and was able to recover throughout the year and finds himself here on the world stage as a champion. So, yeah, I think we've hit world finals as much as we could. Guys, final thoughts before we move on to our next topic.
I guess my final. I mean, it's obviously this. I think that like the real fucking losers of this world are like all the fans and everything, because like this is like the second really anticlimactic world finals we've had. And, you know, it's a time where I think it has the most ability to get people excited about the game again. You know, like even if we had a really competitive series here, we get a good world finals. I think the last 3 world finals have been 3-0s, right? Wasn't it? Didn't Samsung 3-0 SKT?
Yeah, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah. So we're getting like really, really shitty finals over and over again. And I feel like it kind of kills the hype. And the last like competitive final we got was the all Korean final, but that just loses hype anyway, because in that era, it's Korea versus Korea, right? And no one really cares. Like anyone just wanted somebody to win that wasn't Korean for once, right? So, yeah, I just hope that like next year, regardless of who plays, we get 2 different regions competing in the finals and then a close series. That's all I want.
Papa said, in finals, whenever you lose a game 1, it's the most pressure you can feel, and you don't ever train to feel that kind of pressure. So that actually matters a lot, and he thinks that's part of the reason why we get such quick
series
finals. Yeah, series, because on finals, like it's really hard to come back from like being in a down situation. I know we had a 5-game series versus SKT Samsung before, but that might be a thing. Maybe it is definitely a thing. We can't know for sure because we don't have double elimination, but it might still be a problem with double elimination, and we're getting the best 2 teams.
Yeah, I actually like that point, because I think casters try to hit on it, and it's really hard, and it feels cliche, but when a team is able to bounce back from the brink and show that resilience, especially in a situation like that, it's always fantastic. So when 2016 when Samsung brought it almost all the way back against SKT, that was insane. That was insane finals. One of the best.
If G2 can't do it on EU soil, like G2 is the team with like insane mental pressure. Like G2 is the team like that's been coming back. Like when they were behind to SKT and Fnatic, like who the fuck can?
I mean, I don't know. Like you don't know how much that like that could potentially add to like the stress of it, right? Like being in EU, like everyone expects you to win, right? I feel a lot harder sometimes for certain players, because going into the finals, like most analysts predicted G2 would win. I mean, G2 just looked like the better team than FPX coming into this finals, which is why like I strongly believe that instead of everyone being wrong and everyone having bad analysis, I strongly believe that it was like some level of underperformance. But like this situation, it felt like everyone just like thought that it was their time. They should guarantee do it. Where I feel like underdog vibe could potentially maybe like help in one of these situations. I know last year the huge underdog vibe of that, because I mean essentially it was played in
G2
Asia,
versus
right?
RNG.
Yeah, so G2 versus RNG, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I felt like that actually played into like G2's favor a little bit, where it's like, oh shit, no one thinks we're gonna beat this team, and then Perks just fucking like completely like smacks. So I feel like that could potentially help as well. So I don't really know if that helps you or hurts you, or if it just doesn't matter at all. Like I'm not just sold on like the fact that like, oh, it's on EU soil, like you naturally have an advantage.
Fair. All right. Well, that's Worlds. Finally, a whole year covered. And congratulations, FPX. Thank you guys for sticking with us and with our coverage here with Dom and Logan. All right, but we're not done yet because the 2019 competitive season might be over, but the 2020 season already underway, and Loco is already kicking things off, being the master of whispers and knowing so many different secrets. He's going to share them all right now. I'm just kidding.
Last year, I definitely did leak stuff, but this year, I promised a coworker because he got in trouble. He wasn't the one telling me stuff, but he got in trouble, so I promised I wouldn't leak anything. So I'm only talking about public stuff.
All right. Well, let's start off with the most recent news, hot off the press. It came out, like 5 minutes? 5 minutes before we
what is this Huni $2.3 million contract that everyone's talking about?
It's actually real. So Jacob,
where is that?
Let's start with that one. Okay, I can look in the Discord.
Yeah, I didn't see it on Reddit.
Yeah.
Okay.
What number is that?
So here, it's on the Discord. So basically, the gist of it is the only thing you need to know is Dignitas re-signed Huni for 2.3 million for 2 years.
2 years. Oh my god. Jesus.
So 1.1. Yeah. 1.12.
Yeah. 1.15. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that up in a second.
1.15.
I'm not sure if it's in the contract itself, or I'm not sure if it's listed in the reporting. But one thing, there's rumor that I heard was Huni had a guaranteed contract last year. By guaranteed contract, I mean
I think your mic might have just switched or something.
Yeah.
Did it? Oh, okay. Sorry. No, it's because I went front of the mic. I should stay behind the mic. Mm-hmm. So the rumor I heard last year was Huni had a guaranteed contract. Daniel, do you want to explain the difference between guaranteed and non-guaranteed?
Yeah. So guaranteed contract means no matter what, you are getting paid. Whether you're getting cut, whether you're not, you are getting paid. And a lot of contracts with teams are basically written in a way that it says, hey, you can get up to $10 million if you reach all these incentives and these bonuses and you live out the life of the contract, but you only get 2.5 million guaranteed right off the bat, no matter what. All that money is guaranteed up front. And so with Huni having that guaranteed money, he was going to get paid whether he's starting on the roster or not. And so with an extension, that 2.3 million is usually the number that is the maximum that you can get, not necessarily the amount.
I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but that the rumor I heard before was Huni had a guaranteed contract. If he had a guaranteed contract before, you're going to ask for another one. So he might get a 2.3 mil guaranteed contract. So the only thing that's 100% true is he's getting 2.3 mil. But do you know he might have had a guaranteed contract before, so he could have it again. That'd be crazy.
There it is. I mean, right there, right in the first line, Jacob Wolf saying, negotiates a 2-year contract extension worth approximately 2.3 in guaranteed money.
Whoa, wait, is it saying it on there?
Yeah, it's right there. I have it highlighted.
Holy shit. Okay, so it is guaranteed money. Then, yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, well, I'm not going to... Okay, he did have a guaranteed contract last year. It wasn't a rumor. So he's continuing with a guaranteed contract.
Imagine how bad DeMonte feels. It's like, I can't imagine DeMonte's contract being higher than like 250, 200. Like, I feel like it would be in that range, right? Like, he's definitely not one of the people that's getting like... So I would say that he's probably on the low end of the totem pole. Like, if the median is 350K or like... The average salary is like 350K. I feel like he's one of the players that is getting on the downside of this.
Yes, but working off of old information, and at that time, so maybe things have fluctuated. That was not. You had to pay premium for the mid lane. You had to pay premium for a mid lane role, and so because of that, I would say that is a low estimate, a pretty low estimate.
I mean, I would just say like I wonder who would get paid less than DeMonte out of mid lane talent.
Pobelter.
Soligo.
Really? I think Pobelter probably made more than... I think his contract was bigger than DeMonte's this year. I would think so.
Probably more, but Pobelter's probably not insane. Soligo's actually a good one.
So, because I mean, Soligo was a starting LCS player, so I wonder if
actual LCS player. Like, you get bumped up. So most academy players have 2 salaries. The academy salary, if you play in an LCS salary.
Well, those are minimums. So I think if they went into the season thinking he's a starter and he had representation, they would have been like...
Most academy contracts just have 2 numbers there. And then you decide that from the very beginning. So even if you play in LCS, it's still not a lot.
I see. Cool information here coming from Jacob. As always, Impact in late 2017 signed a deal that was valued at 3 to 4 million over the course of that deal. So I'm trying to figure out what is the current length of the contract. Oh, they're on expiring contract, so he's going to be there until 2021, 2022.
Wow, 2.3 mil. Holy fucking shit, Dom.
Yep.
Did you make 2.3 mil when you played?
I made 60K, and I was the second highest paid jungler in the league. So Meteos is getting over 100K, but that was with money from going to Worlds and shit. But like his salary was like I think around 70. My salary was 60, and Russia's salary was 48 per year.
Maybe if you combine all your salaries.
Yeah, we were like half of like fucking Demonte's. Goddamn, we're like a third of Lyra's current. So holy shit!
Your salary is Hooney's salary per
and
weekend.
Then people wonder why all these players became streamers. I wonder why. I wonder why Voyboy, Cutie, me, Dyrus, why we all quit for streaming.
Well, Dignitas, Shifter.
The thing that's crazy for me is like the guaranteed part. So whenever a player has a lot of negotiation power, like they can ask for guaranteed, but teams will like push back on it a lot. I know when Rainover had his salary or his contract, he wanted guaranteed, but he couldn't get guaranteed. What TL did was like, okay, we'll give you a huge bonus. Like we'll give you most of it like upfront as a bonus. Is that fine? Then at least some of it is guaranteed. So yeah, for him to get a fully guaranteed 2.3 mil contract is crazy.
So Hooney's played what, 3 years in NA?
Yeah.
Technically. So he needs one more year and then he can become a resident, or is it 4 years in a row you need to play?
It's 4 years in a row or a green card, and green card is faster because you can get a green card within 2 years. So if he started working on it when he got here, he should get one either this year or next year.
Okay. So if it's 4 years in a row, then it's different because he did 1 year and then he went to Korea for a year and then he came back for the last two. So he's played
but
3
it was
years.
Echo Fox and then Clutch, and I would imagine that given the circumstances that Echo Fox has been under in their management, they probably didn't put in a visa request.
I mean, I think what's crazy is like if you look at this contract. Let's say he's still like a respectable player. He plays at the same level he did this year for the next 2 years, and then this contract expires, and then he becomes an NA resident. He like becomes. Yeah, like then he's just like
chill. He can chill for 2 years now. It's 2.3 mil guaranteed. He doesn't even have to play more beyond that. 2.3 mil is enough to like set you for a good amount of time.
Yeah,
he's only it's crazy because feels like we've seen Hooney for such a long time. Do you guys know his age off the top of your head?
22.
He's 21.
Really?
He's 21 years old. So like
that makes sense.
Not that that
he's about to be 22. Then when's his birthday? Yeah. He's got to be turning 22 soon, right?
Why?
Wait, he turned 21 this year?
I don't know. It just says the 21-year-old.
I mean, it has to be soon, right? Because he was 17 when he played for Fnatic in season 5.
Okay, he turns 21 at December 25th though.
He turns 22nd.
He's born on Christmas?
22. He turns 22.
Yeah, so his birthday has to be soon, exactly. Yeah.
Jeez, what a Christmas gift. Millions. But yeah.
You didn't earn 2.3 mil by the time you were 22? What are you doing?
No, I did not. I didn't have a daddy that gave me that.
Neither did he.
I would say, do you think that this is worth a worthwhile contract here? Like, do you think we're possibly getting this cheap? Because, as you said, Dom, he's not a resident yet.
I think they're overpaying.
I think that they're really overpaying. I think that a lot of people don't really. I think a lot of people don't really like understand the thing, and like he has a really good resume, but I don't really know if he's like. I don't think he's worth that much as a player.
Where would you put him in top lane right now? Impact 1. Who else would you value over him?
I would value probably Licorice. Yeah, I would value Licorice over him too. I'd have him where I had him when I did the top lane rankings. I don't think he's changed. I think he'd be number 3. I think it's Impact.
It's not even like
Licorice, then Hooney.
It's not even like 1, 2, 3, and then there's like a huge drop off. Like 1, 2, 3 after that, like Haunter is comparable.
Yeah, like Haunter, like Solo, like
I think they're all like comparable. Yeah. For him, if someday comes back in the mix, I think you can make an argument. Someday's better than Hooney.
Yeah, I don't even consider him a player because he didn't play last split. Really, I played 5 games and lost every single one.
2.3 mil. Holy fuck. Jesus fucking Christ, that's crazy. We're at like we're starting to get to like play money numbers. We're starting to get to like Monopoly numbers where money doesn't really like. It's just like it's not even like a real number in my head anymore. It's just it's not like real money in my head anymore. It's just like
all the people
imaginary numbers.
All the people that have established themselves now are like this is like where all the money's actually coming in the next year. Like all these like streamers are getting like like contracts. There's competition now in terms of that. There's franchising at LCS. Like now that like we've kind of like we've like validated the fact that esports is here to stay and like streaming is here to stay and this video game stuff isn't like going away anytime soon. Like now is when people are starting to actually get paid for creating the brands they've started creating. So it's pretty exciting to see as somebody like in the scene.
Are you going to get 2.3 mil next year?
Potentially. I think not for 1 year. Not for 1 year, but I could potentially, yeah. Like
you think you can break 7 digits in earnings next year?
If I sign to a different streaming platform, 100%. I've already have an offer on the table that I've rejected for over 7 figures or over like over $1 million. So
now you gotta hit that 2.3
I don't think
mark.
people understand like I don't think people understand like how much money there is in this shit now. Like these companies like okay, so think about it like this, right? Facebook is offering 150K for 200 viewer streamers. If they're offering 150K for 200 viewer streamers, what do you think they're offering for people that have like 5,000 average viewers?
Interesting.
Yep. So these companies have money. And they know that they're not just going to get the streamers organically. They're going to have to like take a loss in order to get people on their platform. It's why you have the Shroud, the Ninja deal. The Ninja deal was $40 million. The Shroud deal was $30 million. Like people are getting paid now. So yeah, I mean, I think that these the good thing is that these numbers are in the same ballpark range as streaming, which is the problem that always existed was the numbers were never even close. Like you had to be like a top tier import player to get like comparable money to like the 10th biggest league streamer, right? Like it's just now they're setting things up where like people are actually getting paid close to their value, because I feel like when you're a streamer, right, you get like you are paid your value because you make your money through like advertising pretty much, right? And these players draw a lot to their brands, but for years they just got fucked because they didn't understand their value. Now people understand their value in the scene, and people and companies are actually having to pay people what they're worth in terms of advertising.
Yep. Wow. Don't forget to catch Facecheck next month on Facebook.
What about caffeine? Yeah.
Or Mixer.
Well, those are the like
or YouTube.
Or YouTube
Gaming's making a push too. They just bought Courage. Like I'm telling you, this is the year. A lot of things are happening.
Hey guys, you can contact us. All right. Next one coming up that I wanted to hit on. Sources say, but again, coming from Jacob Wolf, so you kind of expect
Jacob
it to
Wolf
go
is
through.
99%. Yeah.
Evil Geniuses to acquire Svenskeren and Zeyzal, and you've been talking about it for a while, Dom. A change in the jungle position, using Blabber, getting more firepower. Could be someone else. It might not even be Blabber, but also Zeyzal moving on from Cloud9.
So they added on top of that. I'm not sure if you heard.
Yeah,
Daniel, Kumo and Deathly.
Yep.
Part of the package, but Kumo and Deathly not guaranteed to start.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I feel like they probably will start though. Like I don't know how what better roster a new team like this could get.
I think they'll figure it. They'll get a mid import. And then they'll see who they can get for AD or top. Whoever they can get.
What the fuck?
One of them
what
will
the
start.
fuck, dude? They'll get a top import, man.
I think it should be a top import.
be a top
I think it should be a top import. I feel like Deathly is definitely like a solid like 9th, 10th place AD carry.
Yeah, man.
So
He's back in the LCS.
Yeah, he should be in the LCS. He can be like your shitty LCS AD that's gonna like sit there, do nothing, and like kind of rack up some damage.
For sure.
Are we gonna have Deathly watch now that we're not gonna have Soligo watch?
No, we're
Saligo,
not gonna
come on, none of these teams are signing Saligo. What a fucking surprise.
Yeah. Again, Evil Geniuses. They need themselves a mid laner.
True.
So,
actually, yeah, they should try importing a world class top laner and then putting Saligo in mid.
And we'll get a good look at Saligo. This was it the
Twitch
22nd
Rivals.
during Twitch
I actually
Rivals.
think-
We'll get to that. In a bit. Save all the Twitch rival stuff.
Don't worry,
for-
no. I'm not going in hard. I'm just saying we're prepping the next one here.
All right, let's talk about this one, Dom. What's your take? What do you think about C9? Let's talk about it in two ways. Let's talk about the EG aspect, and also let's talk about the C9 aspect.
Okay, I think it's both great. I think it's great. I think it's the smartest thing you can do. You take players that are like mentally stable veteran players. Like at this point, Zeyzal's a veteran. He's been playing for like 2 years, right? They've been tested at Worlds. They have a good mentality. They've been winners, right? You take a bunch of fucking winners, you put them on the team, they have positive atmosphere, they're proven, and then you get like 1 or 2 imports to try to give firepower to that team, but you just like have a good team environment already. You have like C9's team environment, then you just try to plug and play like 1 like really solid import in there, or maybe 2 really solid imports, and then you just have a solid team. I like this so much more than buying fucking random ass players from random teams like all over the place.
I think it's good in terms of EG, like their starting spot, but they probably had to pay a decent amount for this. They probably had to pay over $1 million for all 4 players. And as a
Easily.
new brand coming in, you have to make a splash. Like your first impression or your first re-impression is so fucking important, and you have to get it correct.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9 is notorious for buying low, farming them up, selling high. And with EG coming in and wanting to make a splash, they probably splashed a lot of money. But who do you think is the big name there? Is it Svenskeren? Svenskeren's got to be the big name on this one.
He's
but then after that,
MVP.
it's like
reigning summer MVP.
I mean, reigning summer MVP getting moved off his roster. So it's kind of. And it wasn't like, hey, he left in free agency. He got moved off the roster. So I think there's a little bit of the shine that gets rubbed off just a bit. Who's off the top of your head? We don't have to go in super deep. Who's a mid laner that you would like to see on this roster? European, Korean, Chinese. Where are we going off the top of your guys' head?
So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I would love to see like a mid laner like Larson on this team. Like a young, like promising European mid laner, like somebody that could grow into like Nemesis 2.0
Lighter.
type thing. Yeah, yeah, I would love to see like Larson on a fucking. I feel like that's like a person he's gonna be good for a while. You know, I feel like that's the type of player you get.
I think what's the likely is yo guys, Daniel DC'd. Give us a sec and we'll be back. Yo, mods, are you doing your job? Because I had to ban people earlier. Yeah.
No, it's just like I see like a bunch of people just like randomly just like flaming with like zero like analysis. Basically, they're like, "Oh, you're just like fucking like retarded. You're cancer. Like all this stuff."
Well, normally, my go-to for Dom. People can hear us, by the way. It's like my go-to is like just say your own opinions because like I don't censor myself, so I try not to censor my stream unless it's racist.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
We can start modding more, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just willing to I guess we can use this time to like. I mean, a lot of people think that my opinions are like super bad, right? So I would like to just like go into that. Like what? So what have I not like shared facts with? What makes like
chat. So until Daniel's back on, like talk to us. Like what's so shitty? What's shitty about my opinion? What's shitty about Dom's opinion?
Yeah.
They all hide when you actually ask.
You are a loser.
Okay.
You are a loser. I mean, I think that it would be just really delusional. I guess what people don't like is the general thing is they think I'm not giving enough credit to FPX. It's like coming into it with like every analyst predicting the same way. What changed between like G2 being super favored and being like massive overdogs, and why does everyone think that FPX is just like so much better?
I mean, probably recency bias.
No, exactly. But that's like my point. It's like it has to be recency bias. Like if you watched all the games, right? Like people, I've seen comments in like the chat where it's like no one with a brain actually could have thought that G2 could have won this series. I see comments like that.
Almost
and
everyone thought G2 was.
Or they say like no one that actually watched semifinals could have thought that G2 could have won this series, right? And I just don't understand how you can say that based off what we saw. Like I feel like if G2 won, people would be like talking about it completely different. They would be like, "Yeah, we thought G2 were gonna win the whole fucking time." I just feel like that's what it is.
Daniel said his whole complex died. Fuck. I'm gonna ask him if he can fix it or not.
G2 is ass against Chinese teams. I saw that. What's your opinion on that? Actually,
G2 is. I think the Chinese stuff. G2 is way better. They way better against Korean teams than Chinese teams. I'll definitely say that for sure. The way Koreans play is so vulnerable to how G2 plays.
I mean, we only got to see 5 matches against. We saw 5 games against Chinese teams this year, and they lost them all. So that's like where that comes from. Like they lost. They were 0-2 versus IG in groups, and then they were 0-3 versus FPX in grand finals.
You don't think like the way G2 plays, like their mid and late game is so good versus Korean teams that want to take it slow and that are very conservative and that let G2 get back into it, and like they're very vulnerable to a team playing the map wide and team doing creative stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is good into them, but I think that like it could be really good into China. Like I feel like it can look like how Korean teams used to look into Chinese teams, right? Mm-hmm. Like how Korean teams would just be like, okay, you can do all this early aggression, whatever. They just stabilize, and then it's just like as soon as the game gets close at all, it just feels like the Chinese team can never beat the Korean team.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off audio for a little bit, and what is it? Daniel called in with his phone, and we're gonna finish that way. All right, people can hear us now.
Hey guys, sorry. My
your mic just got like 10 times worse.
Worse?
It sounded normal until you started talking. I felt you just got way quieter.
Okay, let me see if I can turn it up. Or I switched to headphones. I could take headphones out. All right, hello. How's this?
That's better.
Yeah, I think it's better.
All right, yeah. Internet drops for the whole complex. If it comes back up, we'll hop on in. Otherwise, we'll still get those free agency rumors and quick takes on the ones that we've heard so far. So wrapping up with the EG takes here. So EG, possibly mid laner, European mid laner going that way. Do you think that they look at where else are they going to import? Is AD in top? And if it's top, who do you think?
If it's
off the top of your head?
Like someone like LoL, like probably like a European top laner, like EG and Immortals are gonna pay a premium. They might not pay a premium now that they have most of their roster set. They have to pay a premium to get this like starting block. So yeah, I think they should definitely splash for a mid laner. But beyond that, they could probably go for like a mid tier import for top or bot lane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd prefer like seeing just. I feel like at this point people have to just give more credit to the potential of like using European talent over using Korean talent. Seems like something that can like easily fit with the team. Just normally, just European imports have had better success in NA, so I'd like to see some like European top lane imports. Yeah, like IWDominate, like somebody like Finn. I'd prefer somebody who's like potentially young on that team, like young with like a lot of potential with like firepower. That's what like why I really think rogue players have super high value right now is because like people like Inspired, people like Finn, people like Larson, like they've shown that they can be good and they have so much potential. Like they have potential to become the next, like Finn could be the next wonder, right? Mm-hmm. But you kind of like know that IWDominate is like leveled out as like a top like 3, top 4 solid top laner, but he's never going to be like the fucking faker of top lane where it's like some of these players actually I think could become god level like pretty soon. So yeah, I think that those would be good import choices.
With a roster like that, where do you think EG? I guess we'll wait on that one just because we don't know what the roster is going to be, and that's a lot of speculation. Okay, so
I mean, I think it's a playoff team,
dude. Yeah, I'm definitely with the pieces they have, they should be a playoff team. Like even with just those 4, like if off season goes like just normally for them and ends in a normal manner, they should be a playoff team. Regarding the other end, C9, I had to argue with some idiot like about C9 not selling players and like C9's number one priority not being budget. Like what the fuck? Like look at what they're doing this year and then look at what they did last year. Like do you think giving Jensen to Team Liquid, your biggest rivals, is like LCS is your number one priority? Like C9 has made it very clear what it is to be. It's to be budget conscious number one and then to be competitive.
Yep. Yeah, they want to do the best they can for not investing a lot, which I mean, I think they've done an excellent job of. If you look at like what their goals are and what they've accomplished, like they're not a top 3 spender in the league in terms of talent, and then they're nowhere near top 3. They're probably not even top 5, and then they get like top 2 results in summer constantly. Like if you look at last year, it's like who do you think spent more money? It's like I mean, I think Clutch probably spent more money.
100 Thieves.
Clutch, 100 Thieves, TSM. TL, that's already 4, and then it's like, that's already 4, and then there's like other teams that like failed. It's like I don't know how much did fucking Optic pay for Crown? Like how much did some of these other teams pay? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that. Oh, there we go. Internet is back up. Hello.
Wow.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
It's switched.
Yeah, it works.
Do you want to go back to yours then?
Hello.
Yeah, it works.
Okay, sweet. So I would say that they're in the middle. But by far, you've got those major top 5s there that are or top 3 there that are just astronomically way more than everybody else. I think that.
Give me one second, Daniel. Because you went back to your mic, now you're too loud. Let me reset. Also, do you want to go back to your stream setup if your internet's back, or do you want to finish like this?
Yeah, I'll go back to mine.
Okay. Let me know when you have your stream online. I know it's too loud, chat. I'm fucking balancing it. Literally listen to what the fuck I'm saying. Alright, let me know when you have your setup done, and then we're gonna switch over to the overlay where we have all the overlays. Guys, give us a little bit. Daniel got his internet back up.
Yeah. I was like, what happened to Discord? OBS is opening.
Okay, boomer.
The stream's not working. I'm hitting start, and then the button just disappears.
Reset, and if you or like try restarting.
I did.
And then if it doesn't work, then let's just finish on this.
Let's just finish on yours.
Yeah.
Let's just finish on yours then. Sorry about that. That's weird.
All right, Daniel, try speaking again. Let me see if this sounds bad.
Hello, hello, hello. Levels 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Dom, could you speak? Hello, Dom.
Dom.
Can you just count to 3?
1, 2, 3.
All right, so let me make Daniel.
I couldn't
more.
hear Daniel for a second.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Daniel, try again.
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
All right, we're good. Let's start.
Okay. I think for the Cloud9 side, this is again, you're able to intake the money, pay for your other organizations and be budget conscious, be brand friendly. But also this is kind of an interesting opportunity to see, are they going to try and make a move? Like, we can all say, yeah, they could just backfill with Blabber, and Diamond has been a pretty good support in Academy, but is this the opportunity where they're trying to make their core JJ type move and push them over the edge here?
What? Wait, if they're trying to push themselves over the edge, like, why get rid of Jensen, Impact, Niski?
Yeah.
Jensen, Impact, Spence Garen. You know that year where C9
Exactly.
let go of Impact, or they didn't re-sign Impact? Like, people are talking about, oh, but C9, like, they try to match TL's offer. Like, you don't think they could have also bought the Immortals package? C9 and also Double Lift. You don't think Jack and Andy are close? Like, their team could have been Double Lift, Smoothie, Jensen, Spence Garen, Impact. That could have been a team for C9 if they wanted it to be.
That sounds expensive. Like, Double Lift just sounds expensive. Double Lift sounds like
TL just pays more.
Yeah,
Their whole
C9
thing.
doesn't.
Yeah, but but you could, I think by offloading and making this money off of this EG roster that we know that Cloud9 sells high, you can invest that into an Impact player.
I just don't think that that's their prerogative.
They let go of Profit and Gesture in Overwatch, which is like some of the best players in the league. They let go of Stewie and Tarek in CSGO. Like, they let go of their best players, and they can still be competitive. They believe in their development enough where they can be competitive without overspending, and that's what they're just showing us. We're going to be competitive without overspending.
Yeah, I think if you go like for the dollars that they spent, they're probably one of the most efficient teams. They're probably the most efficient team in the LCS in terms of like spending versus the results they get. Even last year, like, people were like, "Oh my God, why would they ever leave? Like, why would they let Impact go? Like, who the fuck is this Licorice guy?" That's what 2018 was when Licorice started playing. He ended up being like fucking really good, and they ended up getting semifinals of fucking Worlds. But like, that was supposed to be really, really, really like bad roster. Like, that was, people were predicting that to be like a 4th, 5th place roster at like best, and then that team ends up getting second and then going to Worlds and then having the deepest run in Worlds. Like, they just are going for maximum efficiency rather than winning.
C9 has a business model that works for everyone. C9 is happy. They get to make money on buyout. C9 players who are on cheaper contracts can be on now higher paying contracts on new teams, so they're happy. And then the new teams coming in that need roster pieces can get decent, proven NA roster pieces. Everyone's happy.
The only people that aren't happy are the fans that actually want to see C9 win. It's like you get to feel kind of good all the time, but you just never feel fully fulfilled.
For the majority of the fans, they have the Kool-Aid drunk, and they're like, "Don't worry, guys, we'll be fine. Believe in Reaper, believe in Jack." So
I think that's pretty accurate. I think that's actually very accurate, Loco. I think
everyone in the party is happy. There's no one that's unhappy.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm still like not fully convinced is because Jensen wanted to go. It was time.
Who
for
has
him
the
to
final
go.
call? Who has the final call? Jensen or Jack? If Jack wanted Jensen to stay, then Jensen would have stayed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like that a lot of the time, but normally, like, I feel like these owners with players are like, they obviously want to get paid for the transition, but I feel like generally speaking, they don't want players on their team that really don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I'll say this: if the buyout for Jensen didn't have enough zeros on it, Jensen would have stayed.
Sure, and again, that's what Jack's really good at. I think Jack's really good at selling, no matter what. I mean, even when you brought up the CSGO reference with Tarek and Stewie, like, Tarek is a very specific type of personality, and Stewie was becoming a very big star and wanted to make that Skrilla, and went to Team Liquid and made that Skrilla. Like, and then EG and Tarek made that. That's how that trade went down. And then same thing with Prophet. Like, Prophet is a player that is
Seoul Dynasty needs to be good. They're the Korean representative of Overwatch, and Gen G is one of the highest spending orgs. Yes, like, they sell players. Like if they really wanted to be competitive, they would keep these players and they would believe.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just shows like their interpretation of what they think esports is going to be, you know? Like they're trying to get theirs right now, where most people like Team Liquid, for example, is trying to build like a winning brand. Like they want to like have the idea of champions. Like they want their teams, they want like
old TSM. They want old TSM.
Yeah, they want to win LCS every single time. They want their CSGO team to have chances of, you know, making finals, winning a fucking major.
You know
they
what?
want their Dota team to fucking like get like win TI and shit. Like they want it to be like, hey, we're like the winningest organization, and all the other teams are just focused on other stuff. And then like obviously in the future, if esports gets bigger, then they're gonna reap the benefits of that.
You know,
C9 is
go ahead. You know one thing C9 figured out? If you win a championship, that will carry your legacy and that will carry your fan base and that will carry your brand. All these things, like we talked about C9 selling, C9 already had League of Legends championships. C9 got the Overwatch championship and then they sold the players. C9 got the CSGO championship and then they sold the players. They figured out if you win a championship, it will carry your brand. And that's what's really important. Get that one championship and that's enough to really carry the brand for a while. And after that, you just have to be competitive.
Yep. I guess they did the same thing in CS, right?
Yeah.
They won a major. They're the first team to win a major from NA.
Overwatch also, they won the Overwatch, whatever it's called,
Overwatch League.
Yeah, Overwatch League Championship. I don't even fucking know the title of it, but they won that, and then now they can let it carry on.
Yeah, I'll even drop the PUBG Mobile, because PUBG Mobile is the most played game in the world. It is. It's the most played game in the world.
Yeah, it's the most played game in China. I mean, the world.
There are only three representatives from North America. Cloud9 is one of them. So like, I don't know how they do it. They find ways to get in there and
just win once. That's all you need.
I honestly feel like they have like pretty decent luck with their stuff. I was talking to somebody else about this, like in terms of like how they pick up teams. They pick up players like that shouldn't end up being great, and like people will say, oh, it's their development, but also some of it is just blind luck, right? Like when Jack signed on as like the owner of like Quantic Gaming. Mm-hmm. No one thought Quantic Gaming like was going to be better than TSM. It's just like they just ended up winning like out of nowhere. Like they weren't even good until they were already signed. Like then they just became better. Like they were an average amateur team. Like, and I know because I was playing amateur against them, right? Like they were slightly better than us, and we were Curse Academy, and we had like Atomic N playing bot lane and fucking Rux playing top lane when he was playing like other games like 90% of the time, right? Like we're not a strong team at all. We were like evenly matched with them, right? And then they went into LCS and like in scrims they were getting shit on by everyone, and then they somehow developed. They lived with TSM, developed, and they just ended up winning like titles for 2 splits in a row.
Also, the reverse is true regarding like the development end. Like if once you don't have a trophy, like you need to do everything you can to get a trophy. Kind of like what 100 Thieves is doing. Like that one trophy is just so fucking important for all these teams, and like the fans latching onto that brand. We're a championship brand.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, so good for both sides. I'm still skeptical. I just don't see Jack trying to be like good for good. You know, he always finds a way to get a one up, and I'm excited to see.
He
how
has all the cards
for both sides.
EG and Immortals, they're like, we need NA players. C9's like, we have all the NA players. We're willing to give you our MVP. Come and buy from us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And remember the fire sale that Immortals had was a fire sale, so they had to sell low, and now they have to come back in and buy high. So
go to Steve. Yo, Steve, can I have my like the pieces back, please?
Yeah, I heard you don't want Xmithy anymore. You were looking at possibly Broxa as like a replacement. This is what I heard. I was wondering if I could get it back on a discount or something. We'll see how that rolls out. Rumors, by the way, that was not anything real, just rumors. Next one I wanted to talk about was coach. Let's go to coaching change. Mm-hmm. TSM moving on from Zix. So Zix in charge for 1 season, 2 seasons?
One year. Two splits.
1 year over there with TSM making the switch after the leaked DMs and the underperformance, and basically Sven forehead play away from changing the whole course of a year.
The butterfly effect.
And now he's not only on the way out for TSM, but more importantly, signed with the 100 Thieves. Papa Smithy handpicking his expert to build the roster with.
It's like smart move, I think, from 100 Thieves. I feel like that's so much of a better environment for Zix than
less
TSM.
Cancer?
Way less cancer.
Yeah.
Way less cancer. Dude, that meme actually ended up being so true, right? Like for people that I don't know if people like remember that if everyone caught on, but like the reason why Logan just said that is because when Zix was leaked to become the coach of TSM, there was like leaked DMs between him and Afro where they're like, where he said, oh yeah, coaching TSM sounds like it would be so cancer. It's like, well, how cancer did it fucking look? Like, look at all these fucking roster changes, and then at the end, it looked like he had no control at all. Honestly, if you would have told me Peter Zhang was the coach of that team for the last 4 weeks, I would have believed you. Like, I had no clue who Zix was. Zix got no time in TSM Legend. He wasn't saying shit. No one said one thing.
So chat would tell me, like, look, Loco, Zix isn't coaching TSM. He's not talking in TSM Legend, and Peter Zhang is. And I told chat, like, shut the fuck up. TSM Legends, they just show parts. Just because they're not talking in TSM Legends doesn't mean they aren't talking. But from what I heard internally,
but actually,
yeah, chat was right for once in their life.
One of the few opportunities where chat was right. And I think if you guys have an opportunity to like go watch that video, which if you guys are watching this, then you have the time to go watch 100 Thieves intro video with Papa Smithy and Zix. Zix, when he finally gets to talk, he says, my time over at TSM, I felt like there wasn't a lot of alignment. And then goes on about saying how he feels like after talking with Papa Smithy and 100 Thieves, there's a lot of alignment on how to run a team, on how to work with free agency, on coaching. And that's probably the most PR you're going to get to everything that you've ever heard from Facecheck throughout the season. It's just like he won't take a shot. He's very professional, but that seems like as clear as it's going to get.
The people that are professional, they don't take shots publicly, but let me tell you, all the fuckers you think are professional, they shit talk so much behind the scenes. Every single owner, Riot employee,
and like Zix does because we've seen
it. We got some leaks. I mean,
professional means like what you show publicly. Internally, everyone's the same. Internally, everyone's dumb.
Freedom, right? Like what he's talking about is freedom. I feel like on 100 Thieves, it's like, hey, you're coach of the team. Like, we'll give you time. Like, if it fails, it's on you. It feels like TSM, they didn't even give him a chance, right?
I think they said the same thing and then didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they said that, and then you see what happens. It's like, okay, what the fuck is going on with the jungler situation? Why is Parth the one talking to us? Why do we see Peter Zhang making every fucking team decision? Like, where is this guy, right? And it's just like, it doesn't seem like he was the one that got to like control the overall direction of TSM. It's like things started looking bad.
You become a scapegoat later.
Yeah, and it's just like panic. Hit the fucking button. Reggie comes in. He just starts like telling them whatever the fuck they want to hear, and then you get this mediocre result out of TSM.
And the clear design from that to me is when Loco said, notoriously, Zix does not like running a 6-man roster. He likes a strong 5 and going from that. And then after that,
Parth told us. Parth told us. Yeah. Parth said it in his statement. I thought Greg would be good.
Yeah.
Zix doesn't like running 6-man. Everything I said was true. Zix doesn't like running 6-man. They're like, look, they're running 6-man. I'm like, Tony usually doesn't like this, but they're doing it. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
So, and it's been highly documented here on this show and just throughout the year on social media, their social media usage, the thank you Bjergsen tweet. Oh, so funny. Got us.
Good
one. The messaging from Parth after the end of the season, again, kind of not getting ran by like Tony on that one. The roster changes, and it all always gets covered up by TSM through winning. Like, if they win, things are fine. If they're not, this is what Team Liquid might look like if Team Liquid isn't winning or finding success. And it's just, I think this is a solid move here for 100 Thieves. And if TSM opted this and maybe is able to use some self-awareness, then maybe this is a good refresh for them as well. But I think all we can go off of is the move that did happen. And I think this is a plus for 100 Thieves. This is a very solid arm here for Papa Smithy to build upon.
Am I DC'd?
No, you're
can't tell. All right, okay.
You were lagging for a bit.
My Discord was completely DC'd. Yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say is like it feels like it's just what it's like karma, right? TSM cultivated one of the most cancer fan bases in all of esports, and then it's like, yeah, I mean, it's fine to have this fan base that is like super super cancer, shits on everyone else, like acts like they're the best when you're winning, right? And then the second you lose, everyone who's just been sitting there quietly, that's been getting shit on by you and your organization and your fans the whole time, just can't fucking wait for you to lose, and they all just savor that TSM loss more than anything else. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's just that's the fucking double-edged sword of having the fan base that they created.
It's very similar right now, sports reference, to the Warriors. The Golden State Warriors, there's an article on ESPN recently where a player was like, we love seeing them look all sad with towels on their head at the end of the game. We don't feel bad that they're all injured. We don't feel bad that KD is gone. We don't feel bad about their new arena like not being full. Like, everyone loves it that we're getting pummeled or at least watched it. And I think it's such a stark difference to what G2 has accomplished with their kind of same style where they kind of like punch you in the face, but they do it like kind of memey and funnily. And then at the very end, everyone's like rallying behind them at the
But
win.
also G2 is just so much better than TSM
That's
ever
it.
was, which is just like, it's like not only are G2 just like winning, like they've won 6 out of fucking 8 splits in Europe. I don't think TSM ever won 6 out of 8 splits at any point. And then like they just also give their fans like hope, right? Like even when TSM was winning NA, they would go to international and it was like, okay, they're getting smacked in groups every single fucking time. Like no one gives a fuck, right?
Hey, we're about to give.
Hey, you made it to quarters once, right?
We saw
You
Caps
went
have PTSD on the weekend. Now we're seeing a little bit here.
Like
with
G2 fans can at least be proud of G2, right? Like they can be proud of the year. And like obviously some people are just so delusional, like, and then also like you have these random people that are just like these cancer NA fans that are like, Europe said mean things to us, so G2 lost. It's like, haha, like take that, Europeans, you lost in the fucking finals. Like it's just like what, like bro, like you know how much fucking worse we are. Like
I love the Reddit. I love the Reddit comments. FPX saved Reddit for the rest of the next year. If G2 won, Reddit would have been unbearable. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Reddit's unbearable because NA sucks, not because the U's good.
Yeah, it has nothing to do. Like, what the fuck?
If you want more of that kind of logic, go look at Avali's Twitter right now. I think she made a compilation of all the people that were like, how can you represent North America now? Blah, blah, blah. It was like, you guys are stupid. All right, so that's the move.
God
there for
forbid
TSM.
she tries to like work in the off season and make money. Disgusting.
Loco's up. Final thoughts here on this before we move on to any other free agency moves.
No, like there's a lot of free agency rumors that are going around. Rumors are rumors, guys. Just because someone gets something right does not make them like an ultimate source. Like take all rumors as they are. There's some things that are 100% confirmed that haven't came out yet, and there's stuff like that people are putting out as 100% confirmed that are not confirmed. So just wait and let Jacob Wolf announce things. Jacob Wolf only announces when he's 100% sure.
Damn. Didn't he mess up once?
He messed up like 4 years ago regarding a few stuff, but like his track record has just been.
And then everyone still brings that up on it. They're like, no, he was wrong once before.
Yeah.
Before we have our
Got him.
agency rumor bonanza later on in the year. Just make sure you clip that episode or clip that part with Loco being like rumors are just rumors. And then we come back with Facecheck free agency. All right. Were there any more free agency rumors that you guys had heard?
Rumors are rumors. I think let's let everything be by.
Or not rumors. I meant actual articles that were out. Those are the only ones that I saw.
Those are the only ones for now.
Look at that grin on Loco's face. He's brimming with rumors and knowledge. But
oh my god! Wait, did you hear that Rick Fox hit Iron 1 for the first time?
Oh god.
Hey, rumors are rumors, Dom. Let's
All right, okay, we'll let it play out. Let's see how it goes.
He's at 0 LP. Okay, so that closes out current free agency stuff. We will come back in future weeks and constantly be updating the moves and how we think it positions teams and players.
Ironically, by hitting Iron 1, he is now currently higher rated than Mike Young on the solo queue ladder. So we'll see how that plays out going forward for Echo Fox.
There was a good image I wanted to find. It was, we now finally understand the true weakness of EU, and it was Fun plus Phoenix and then Mike Young with the Phoenix 1 jersey. I thought that one was a good one. Close it out with a little bit of streamer social competition, including one of our guys. Dom, why didn't you get invited?
I did get invited. I had to decline it because I had a sponsorship to do during the 22nd to the 24th in Switzerland. So I was supposed to be in Switzerland for those times.
Are you going to be a captain?
I think so. I could actually, let me check. Hold on.
Would you get? Okay, well, there's a very important follow-up question to that.
Okay, let's see. I'm not interested. I'm trying to take approach more highly. This one. I think so. I'm not sure.
It doesn't say.
All right, let's say you were going to be a captain. I'm
pretty sure I'm more popular than some of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Important question.
Like normally, yeah.
Okay. So say you're a captain. I think you're popular enough to be a captain.
Yeah,
Would you have picked me?
Dom?
Wait, who are the other captains?
Oh, answer the damn question. Would you have?
No, it was Tyler. It was Tyler, Mo, Cutie Pie.
I'm actually interested.
Box. Shit.
Solo Renekton. Trick was.
Oh, I could probably
Trick was
get
not a captain.
Be there over.
Trick was not a
going to
captain.
be. He was going to be a captain.
Okay. Wait, would you say would I decline Trick?
No, that's not. Fuck you. You know, he declined to be a captain because Mo said he was gonna pick him. Would you have picked me for AD carry?
And then
you?
Yeah.
Hell no.
What?
What the fuck?
Loco is probably the third or fourth best AD.
Wait, what are the AD pool? I thought the other pool were like fucking Benji and shit.
Yeah. After.
Benji was like top.
Wait, you're not gonna pick AD carry early. You're gonna pick solo laners, and then the AD carries are gonna go, and then I would have been available in the pool.
I'm taking Soligo first pick.
I mean, I actually have the.
I'll be honest, dude. I'm taking Geronimo over you at that point.
What?
So, like,
Here. It was ankle spanking, Benji,
Facecheck,
Emery,
it was-
Geronimo, Taco.
Facecheck was a good
Logo,
roll.
aren't you like plat 1 with like 40% win rate?
No, I'm diamond 4.
With 40% win rate? Is that the same account?
Wait, I provide so much value in a competitive setting. You would have taken
picked up-
fucking Geronimo over me?
Geronimo, not I don't
Whatever
even know
his
how
name is.
Yeah, I mean,
chat,
probably.
Wow.
I don't know.
Holy
I actually play with Loco. I haven't played with you in so like. When was the last time we were in the same game together?
Wow. Dom, holy
rated
fuck.
him. It was when he was playing
Holy
support
fuck.
back in season 8.
Dom, I can't believe you're like that. Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I don't give
No
a fuck
wonder-
about no goddamn.
No wonder you and Mo are.
friendships.
No wonder you and Mo are such good friends.
Yep, true. Actually,
I see how it is.
Yeah, the other junglers in it were Anda, Chase, Vapora, Dark, Forest, Panda was actually one. Metaphor.
the jungle pool actually looks stacked. It felt like the junglers are like by far the best, like overall. Like every other role there was like, you know, like some like logo
was a
tier
drop
players
off.
in, but you know. But for jungle, I mean, there was like fucking like 5 challenger junglers, 6 challenger junglers on that list.
Yo, what do you think about Tarzan being first pick? So Tyler won first pick.
Tyler
Tarzan.
picked Tarzan first pick.
I mean, obviously, I think that like if you're drafting number 1, like that's just a fun team, right? It's a fucking toxic team, right? You got I don't know, fucking who is the mid lane on that team? It's like Tyler 1.
Saligo. It's your favorite mid laner.
Oh, it's Saligo. It's Saligo. Isn't there another toxic player on that team?
Soy Lago.
So the team is Adrian and Tarzan. Adrian and Tarzan have each other blocked for about the last few years, and then Saligo mid. We all know Saligo from Saligo Watch, and then Tyler won an X Special, and then X Special and Tarzan have beef from whenever there was in-houses.
Oh yeah.
X Special was discussing a matchup, and Tarzan said, "Shut the fuck up." And then Tarzan got kicked, and he's like, "Why did I get kicked?" So yeah, that team is like drama waiting to happen. And there are.
I mean, I think if you're really trying to win, right? I feel like the best jungler to pick is Anda, right? Like he like shit on a fucking Academy, and I think that this is probably going to be even worse than Academy, right? Like this should definitely be worse than Academy. So I feel like he should just be like the number 1 pick, probably.
I've got the list up here. I can put it in Discord.
I can't open it. We can just put it to look at it.
Yeah, I think the team that I thought was super stacked was Solar Renekton onlys, and that was with Loco on it, is because they went Anda Stunt, and Stunt's gonna guide you around. Like,
No, it's the other way around. I'm the one shot calling. I'm the captain now.
Your team is actually pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I think the most stacked team was actually TF Blade. TF Blade. It's TF Blade, Metaphor,
Yeah, that's
Quantum
the best
Physics, Taco, or what is it? The Jin guy.
Yeah, I keep it Taco.
Yeah, he's
I
the
keep
Jin.
it Taco,
Diamond.
and then Diamond.
And there's no bans either. So like when you play, you get to play whatever you want. So there's no draft phase. You just get to practice for 2 weeks with.
God, most team would be
fresh.
so stacked if he didn't get Sanchovis on it. Jesus Christ.
Who is Sancho?
Yeah, he waited on it. That was the second to last pick.
That's our fucking boy.
Who is he?
That's what he said.
That explains nothing. I'm like, who is Sanchovi? That's our boy. I'm like,
just-
what?
just like-
He's your
he's just a
boyfriend?
funny-
Like, what is he?
He's just a funny dude from Twitter. He's just fucking hilarious.
Okay.
That's the homie though.
Okay. He's the homie.
Yeah, like he's like a low master player, I would say, but he's just funny as fuck. He's just a hilarious guy.
Shifter's team's pretty good. Like Shifter has old Dignitas and Darshan and Benji, and then
Yeah, but he's got Hanjaro, and Hanjaro's like 45 years old and fucking can only play Pike, and he's got 1.5k games or some shit. 2.5k games with negative win rate in D2. So, you know, It's kind of rough over there, I would say. The
You
support
got
area.
four former pros though.
Dude.
Just your support.
Oh
Bro.
my god. Dude, I was actually so scared of not getting picked. And
Benji
then-
was like a pro like 3 years ago, and then he played academy and got like I don't know. I say like who cares if they were a former pro? I think he's
You were
playing pretty
getting
well
picked.
right now, but
You were getting picked regardless.
No, I was so scared because like people like at that pool at the end, it's like your princess, Choco Bars, and Yvonne got picked over me. Like I wasn't afraid of not getting picked because like oh I don't get to play. It's like holy fuck, people might pick your princess or Choco Bars over me. Like no disrespect to them, and some of them might be even higher rated, but I knew that was
that's
gonna
what
be.
I was gonna say. I'm like,
knew
are you
that-
higher rated than
Keep
Jaden
going,
right
dog.
now? Like who knows?
I knew that was gonna be a fucking meme if I didn't get picked. Like your princess better than Loco Doco. I was like, oh my god. When I didn't get picked, when I did get picked, and then TF Blade was like, oh man, I was gonna pick Loco Doco. I was like, holy fuck, two
I
people
mean,
wanted
Chase
me.
didn't get picked.
Yeah, Chase didn't get picked.
Crazy. I mean, the jungle was just stacked though. Like every single jungler on there is a challenger jungler.
Are
Or
you
like-
the lowest rated AD carry, Loco?
Yeah.
I think you are. What did you do to get into the tournament? Like, how did your name come up as an AD carry?
And they asked who wanted to play, and I was like, I wanted to play, and then I got picked.
jeez.
Two people wanted to pick me. Two people
I've only
wanted to
played
pick me.
I've only played in one Twitch Rivals so far.
What'd you think?
The player I played against was dog shit. Holy shit, he was so bad. I played against Emilior.
Who the fuck is
like a
Emilio?
He's like a Spanish, supposedly challenger jungler from EU West. And goddamn, he was talking all this shit to me before the game, like, because it was a live event, right? Like, so we played on stage or whatever. He's like, you're like so washed up. I'm gonna shit on you. And then he was just a bot in game. Holy fuck. Or it's El Mayor or something.
Oh.
I didn't even know what his name.
Yeah, let's.
I don't know. He's just fucking. He was so insanely bad. I was so impressed by how bad he was, and the fact that they still won with him being that bad. I was 17 kills at the end of the game. He was 1-9, and they won.
Wow, this is why NA can't win worlds. See, NA
Yeah,
streamers
because
they lose, and then they
players
blame
are streamers.
and then they blame their teammates.
How unbalanced is the Twitch matchmaking though? They gave me a silver 80 carry versus a diamond 380 carry.
Oh, this was the very first one?
No, this was the one in Europe. This was at TwitchCon EU. It was me,
okay.
Mo. It was me, Mo, Fogged, right? So not only did they give fucking me, my solo laners are Yassuo and fucking Trend, right? So I get full AD solo laners. I get mid beast playing support TF and support Talia, and then I get a fucking like silver fucking 80 carry. Are you kidding me? It is just so insane. Every game is jungle difference.
Wow.
So
All right,
let's go
Loco.
next topic, please.
Wait, no, this is a final.
When
This
you
is
get knocked out on the 25th, I don't want to hear excuses then. Because,
Of course not.
We'll just clip this.
Oh my god, dude, this fucking Monty and Degon like flaming me like as
played
I'm
the shit out of you,
as
dude.
I'm fucking getting picked. Monty saying, "What is it? There's never been two people arguing over me or fighting over me. Holy shit! This year it's been fucking rough. Like engaged girls, married girls, girls with two other boyfriends fighting over me. Holy fucking shit! This year has been insane for me. I've had tons of girls fight over me. I can't even.
D4.
And Monty knows. And Monty knows.
Okay.
Let's all pick a favorite for Twitch Rivals, and then let's end the podcast for today.
Well,
Okay,
no,
you can't pick this
we
off.
gotta talk about the main thing.
What's your main thing? Trick and Mo. Oh yeah.
So
I feel
something
like that's the biggest
okay,
story
so-
of this whole thing.
So during Twitch Rivals, I was hosting. I didn't even notice this thing that happened apparently. So what's up with Mo?
I mean, you can share the story.
Oh, okay, I'll share it since Dano doesn't know.
Yeah, I
So
don't know.
Mo and Trick played in the first Twitch Rivals together, and they actually had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of content around it. Trick played Udyr, he backdoored a lot of people, and then they played in the Twitch Rivals during TwitchCon, and they also won that versus it. They won that, and they also had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of content around it. And Mo and Trick and Tyler won. They are always playing this like mini game, like
Oh,
they're
is
always,
that why he said during the pick for hard, he was like, do I go content or do I go for winning?
Yeah, so they do a lot of content together, and they played in previous Twitch Rivals twice, and like they had a lot of fun together. So
And they're popular.
yeah, Trick was offered a captain spot, and Trick declined the captain spot after he talked to Mo, and Mo told him, "I'm also a captain. I'm gonna pick you, dog." And then
Well, I don't even think that's true. That's like the part where I disagree on.
okay, but that's the public
that's the
rumor.
story.
That's a
Yeah,
public
that's the story.
public. That's what the public knows. That might be true. That might not be true according to them. But that's what the public knows. So when it was Mo's turn to pick a jungler, he picked hard over Trick2g. And Trick didn't get picked at all. And Trick could have played because he was offered a captain spot, but he declined it. So now Mo is a snake. Mo mains Cassiopeia. Mo is Orochimaru. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
All
end.
right, so let's hear your opinion on it first, Loco.
My opinion on it? Trick should just have been a fucking captain. What the fuck? Why do you need to play with Mo? Just be a fucking captain. And Mo should have never told Trick that he was gonna pick him. He should have said, I'll see. And then Trick should have been like, oh, he might not pick me. I'm gonna go be a captain. This is like idiots. Like, just fucking be a captain and just tell Trick you might not pick him because there's no 100% guarantee you pick him. You're 100% guarantee with like for your friend Sanchobies. And I also heard like 100 Thieves players maybe we're gonna try to do like 100 Thieves team up. Like there was so much like pre-planning behind all this. Like just fucking say like I'm not sure what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it was as 100% as people made it seem because like there was so. This is what I really dislike about Reddit because I saw the same shit happen to me so many times is I don't think the clip that they show provides the full context for what is actually said. Because when I went through the VOD, I found multiple different things, right? There was a point in the VOD where he's like, I'm only going to pick Trick over other junglers that are around his skill level. Like, and then the other thing he said was he's like, yeah, I mean, if I can get hard, I can like, I'll think about that because Hard is also my boy. And what people just like people make it seem like Trick is better friends with Mo for some reason when like Hard is clearly closer with Mo than Trick is. Like Trick is just more popular, so more people just are Trick fanboys. Like no one really gives a fuck about Hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like when Mo went to Korea last year, he stayed with Hard. Like they like lived together for like over a month.
I had no idea on all this. This is all new.
Okay,
info.
yes. Well, I mean, it was public knowledge at the time, but yeah, no one like actually cares about Hard, right? Like in the scene, like no one cares about Hard. Like let's be real.
Sorry, Hard.
Everyone loves Trick. No one gives a fuck about Hard. So
I love how Daniel says sorry, Hard. No, everyone cares about Hard. What do you mean? He's like, no, sorry, Hard. No one cares about you.
The only
Actually,
reason why I remember
No,
Hard
he
is
gives a
because he has a
fuck
very
about Hard.
difficult last name to say. Like I don't even remember his Champool or anything. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's just weird because people are like shaming Mo's whole career over this, and like I don't feel like he was.
All right. I want to put more public information because there's politics going around here. Dom's also good friends with Mo.
I am good friends with Mo. I'm also friends with Trick, but I'm better friends with Mo than I am with Trick.
Okay.
I don't know. For me, I think it's just kind of like. I think the community just wants to shit on content creators at every opportunity they get.
Yeah, of course they do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's like so cancer though, because it seems like at this point, I can't remember one popular content creator that has not got hard flamed by Reddit for some period of time.
You know what's fucking crazy? So there's like offline TB drama also going on. I won't go too much into detail about it out of respect for offline TB, but offline TB had like the cleanest image, like for a streamer house, like they had such little drama, right? And then now people are going back and like dramatizing and like shitting on offline TB and like they're doing the full reverse swing where they're like, oh, I knew it was always like this. Oh, what drama is there? Like community loves to shit on people, and soon as that like perfect pristine image is gone, like it's fucking like it's hunting season. It's open warfare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's super weird because I feel like that whole story should be more about like how shitty it is to cheat.
Mm-hmm.
But instead it's like more like it's like memes, and then it's like I don't know. It's all like welcome to the Champions Club, like Albert CD, like it's just all that type of shit, you know? And it's like goddamn, like people are just so cancer online. But I mean, I guess this is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Internet is just cancer in general.
Yeah.
You a champ, dog. You a champ, Dom. Yeah. I mean, I didn't notice that. I didn't know it. We definitely, Monty and I talked about the fact that Trick didn't get picked up, but when you look at those names in the jungle role, it's like
Trick is not better than any of those junglers that I picked.
Exactly. That's why I didn't even think more about
real
it.
talk. Like I play against all.
I didn't know
them.
there was the, back alley handshake agreement. Like that sucks. I think if Mo is like, yeah, I got you, dog. Don't be a captain, or even if like Trick asked,
Trick felt comfortable enough to not be a captain because he felt comfortable enough that Mo would pick him, right?
And that's on him. I agree. I agree with Loco. But if you like verbally said, hey, let's do this thing, and he's like, yeah, and then he changes his mind, at least without even giving you a heads up, then I'd be a little bummed. Oh. Actually, I'd be fucking bummed.
Yep. It just feels like the fans care more than Trick does. Legitimately, like the people are just so ready. They're like, I don't think people even care about the drama. They're just like, ooh, we get to shit on somebody now.
No, people love the drama. People love the drama.
Yeah, but they don't
even act like you know. Come on, people love the drama. You know that's what it's about.
Yeah, no, but
Trick,
people love
super
the drama.
giga popular streamers, like people want to shit on them. People want there to be a story.
I just think that people just want to shit on anyone. That's what I think. Is like they don't even give a fuck about like the drama or if there's merit in it. It seems like no one actually goes back and like watches the full context of clips on Reddit. They just assume that if some guy makes a Reddit thread, some random fuck that they've never heard of before, makes a Reddit thread and it gets upvoted, the person is correct and not lying to the community. But no one actually goes back and like sees what the fuck is going on, which is I think the biggest thing about why people take all these breaks from Reddit and like people just don't like a lot of pro players don't read Reddit anymore. Casters don't read Reddit.
I don't read Reddit anymore. Fuck that shit.
League of Legends like has gotten to the point where it's just like everyone is just cancer to everyone all the time. Like all the fans are just cancer to whatever personality all the time if they get any opportunity to be, instead of doing like any research for themselves and like determining, like thinking for themselves at least about what's happening. Like they don't care if they are wrong about it, right?
So I 100% agree with everything you said. So the conclusion I came to is if I'm going to be a content creator and if I want to be bigger, I can't let this stuff bother me, and it's just part of being like a content creator and it's part of getting bigger. Like people are going to hate you for random ass reasons, be it legitimate or be it illegitimate, and people are just going to add on more and more to it. If you can't handle it, it's nearly impossible to be a content creator.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have, like, I don't know. For me, it just makes me like just like devalue every opinion I see on Reddit. Like anytime I see somebody say something on Reddit, I'm just like, I don't care about the upvotes or anything. I'm just like, well, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm just gonna see it for myself, because I think that the biggest problem that Redditors have is they think that the upvote system means that the person is correct, right? Like if something is highly upvoted, they think it's a correct opinion. They don't understand that that just means that a lot of people agree with it, right? So I've seen multiple things that are just factually incorrect about the game. I've seen people say things in history didn't happen, right? Like somebody will be like, no, this team won this match in like season 4, right? And then you'll go back and you're like, no, that's just factually incorrect. And it'll have upvotes. And then because it has upvotes, the person that wrote it thinks that they're right about it, instead of like being like, oh, that just means a lot of people remember it the same way as me. So I think that people just don't understand what upvoting is on Reddit. And they just like are super delusional about
go with the flow, swim with the other fishies.
Yeah, it's like that type of shit. I think they're just like kind of just brainwashed at this point. It's just kind of sad to see so many people be so stupid at the same time. It's like, God damn, are we really this dumb, guys? We like as a community, are we this fucking dumb? I hope not. I just hope not.
I think we are.
Okay. All right.
Twitch Rivals, and I'm usually the positive one here. Twitch Rivals will be played November 22nd, which is a Friday, then back again Monday and Tuesday, the 25th and the 26th of November. Cheer on Loco if you want. Also,
no, dude, just cheer on Loco. Just cheer on Loco.
Do a drinking game. Loco, who are you going to play when you play against Tyler?
I can't say that. I have a secret pick prepared. I can't say that.
Oh God, he's gonna, like that Loco's gonna play like Heimerdinger or some bullshit. He is not playing AD carry versus Draven.
Have you been watching my streams?
No, I just assume like you're just fucking Loco, dude. I can read. I don't need to see shit. It's just.
You're not going to play that heads up.
What?
Caitlyn versus Draven.
No, that's a bad matchup.
No.
That's a bad matchup.
Caitlyn versus.
That's a bad matchup, Daniel. Fuck you.
What about can you imagine a fucking Loco playing like Zaya Rakan with stun into that, and it's like, okay, we're gonna play the skill side of it. Fuck no. He is playing Vigard. He is playing Heimerdinger. Like,
yeah, I will be much smarter and I will be more effective than Tyler won.
Yeah.
Even though he's a better AD carry, I will show you how the worst AD carry can be more effective. I'll be the Doinby of my team.
Also, just a little more
good luck, my man.
There. Loco is the one that recruited Xpecial on the Golden Guardians. So had to sit down, had a conversation. So you got a little bit of a history in the bot.
Oh yeah, so I can all chat to Xpecial. Yo, Xpecial, remember when I gave you a fucking job when you were dropped? Are you gonna do this to me?
And then Tarzan goes, "Shut the fuck up!"
Oh, also Tarzan called me Tarzan called me the worst player in the tournament. So I definitely want to beat that team.
Yeah.
Who
is the worst player in the tournament? All right, you got to call somebody out. Who do you think is the worst player in the tournament if it's not you?
I don't want to be mean to people. That's not.
Shut up.
I mean, who can you possibly say?
Positive. I'm the positive
40 minutes talking about drama.
No, I'm the positive one. What if it? What's the radiance?
Like it's got to be.
What's the radiance value? What was the 3 radiance worth? Positive.
Oh wait! I forgot that Loco has to just try to be friends with every single girl, so he has a chance, so he won't say anything bad about him.
Wow. That's fucked up. Wait. That's
Twitch
fucked
rivals
up because I'm friends with Shanik. Oh my god, Dom. I'm not interested in Yvonne that way. I think she's a great person, but I'm
just planting the seed, just in case they break up. You know, like he wants to be in like a positive mindset.
What the fuck? Is this how your mind works? Oh my god.
I mean, this is how Reddit's mind works. Yeah, why not play devil's advocate?
We spent too much time talking about Reddit. It's stuck it in Dom. All right, I think that's enough on Twitch rivals. Tom, what are you doing all weekend? Is there going to be anything that we can watch?
No, I'm not doing anything anymore. My sponsorship fell through, so I will just be watching Twitch rivals.
All right, we'll do a viewing party, and we'll.
I'm literally just gonna be doing like pro view, but I'm just gonna be watching Locos like every single move.
Yeah, watch me play fucking perfectly. Watch me play perfectly. Oh, show the world how well I'm playing,
up, dude.
Well, okay, if he's played perfectly, that means that he's probably gonna play Yuumi and just sit inside stunt for the entire lane phase and maybe get bodied.
At what point in your career, Loco, was perfect Loco? What is it? MIG? Is it TSM?
When I won OG and Invitational.
Okay, OG and Invitational. What was that? MIG?
What? Yeah, that was MIG.
All right. So MIG, Loco, Doko. That's what we're going to be expecting here. All right. We'll also figure out what we're doing for that day of games, or for that Facecheck episode, because Loco will be playing.
Well, it'll be on Monday. We'll just switch to a different day after Twitch Rivals, so we have something to talk about.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. All right, guys.
So after Worlds, guys, so we're gonna talk about Twitch Rivals. We'll talk about off-season roster stuff, and also like down in the YouTube comments, tell us what you want us to talk about, because Facecheck will go on. We will make content.
That was literally what I was about to say.
Oh, okay, my bad. I didn't know you were gonna say it. I can't mind read you though.
I'm the fucking host. I have one job. It's the intro, snap, outro, and make sure they keep watching. Like, subscribe, give money to.
Dude, Loco just called you dumb, dude. He doesn't even understand. He doesn't even know what your name is.
I called him dumb.
Okay.
Dumb dog. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for this off stream. Thanks for sticking with us. It's been one hell of a competitive year. We're excited to get the off-season hot takes going throughout the year, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Oh, scouting grounds. We'll also do scouting grounds.
I didn't know if you wanted to spend time doing scouting.
We'll talk about it. We'll have content.
See, I knew Dom was going to be like,
we'll have content.
I don't flame the shit out of all those players. I just don't care anymore.
You know, we're one of the only people, well, maybe not Daniel, but like, I'm actually getting to a point where I can survive like without like caring about what the team say, what Riot says. Like, there's a point as a content creator where if you pass a certain bar, if you get above a certain amount of viewership, certain amount of notoriety, you're not beholden to anyone. And I think it's really important to get to that point as a content creator. All right.
I honestly didn't give a fuck from the beginning. Jesus.
All right. I'm gonna cut the stream here, and then what is it? We'll do
Gangster Loco.
No, it's not. Well, how's this gangster? Right. It's Fizzers, dumbass.
Thanks for watching, guys.
It's Fizzers. It's editors cutting it. It's Fizzers.
Yeah, cut it here, Tom's editor. Appreciate it.
All right, scissor it right here.